ठीक है हाँ क्या हो
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Mrs. Manju Vyas ma'am, QIP coordinator, to kindly welcome all the participants with her words.
Manju ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Good morning, everyone. On On behalf of organizing committee, I, Mrs. Manju Vyas, welcome all the dignitaries, delegates, and students. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome our chief guest, a renowned personality, Professor Shailendra Sharaf, Vice President of Pharmacy Council of India. He is very actively involved in promoting the pharmacy education and research. He is also a distinguished academician and researcher. We are honored to have you here, sir, with us and gracing the auspicious occasion of inauguration of 35th QIP Quality Improvement Program for Technical Teachers sponsored by AICTE. I would also like to welcome our one and only exemplary, energetic leader, Professor Ramesh K. Goyal, first Vice Chancellor of Delhi Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research University, that is the first university of Pharmacy University of India. Under his leadership, the university is going new heights day by day. Thank you, sir, for being with us and guiding from time to time. We also have with us our amicable worthy director, DIPSAR, and principal coordinator of 35th QIP. He is eminent academician and researcher. He is always a guiding force for us. Welcome, sir. In DIPSAR, QIP was started in the year 1999, almost 21 years back, in a time where the internet was just a luxury for many people, and such program was the only way teachers could enhance their knowledge and share differences in opinion on a common platform. This time QIP is taking place on a digital platform through the use of advanced technology due to COVID-19 pandemic. The objective of this quality improvement program is to enrich the knowledge of faculties through interaction with eminent personalities and industries from industry and academia. Today, in this program, 24 national and international eminent speakers from industry and academia will be enlightening us with their extensive knowledge and experience over the 6 days program, starting today from 9th of October to 16th October. And 53 participants have joined so far, and I hope the participants will enhance their knowledge with this program. Thank you. Now over to Bhumika.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, yes, ma'am. I request you to kindly welcome Professor D.P. Pathak, sir, DIPSAR, Director, QIP Principal Coordinator.
Professor Pathak has more than 30 years of teaching and research experience in pharmaceutical chemistry. He has served in various capacities at University of Kashmir, Srinagar, Lachu College, Jodhpur, BN College, Udaipur, and Guru Jambesh University, Hisar. He is a professor of pharmaceutical chemistry at DIPSAR for the last 15 years. He is the director of DIPSAR for the last 7 years. He has guided 50 MPharm and 16 PhD students. He has completed successfully 2 UGC projects, and he has in his credit 90 publications in national and international journals and 3 patents also in his credit. He has been conferred upon FIC and FABMS by Institution of Chemists and Association of Biomedical Scientists, respectively. Now, sir, I request Dr. Pathak, sir, to address the delegates and gathering.
Very good morning. Respected Professor Shailendra Saraf, my good friend, Vice President of CCI, Professor Goyal, Honorable Vice Chancellor, DIPSAR,
ನಮ್ ಸೌಂಡೇ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ?
Dr. Manju Vyas, coordinator of this program, Dr. Bodla, and Dr. Sakshi. Delhi Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, that is DIPSAR, is 56-year-old premier pharmacy institute of North India. It is a constituent college of DPSR University, the only university of pharmacy in India. DIPSAR is recognized by AICTE as All India Nodal Center for Quality Improvement Program. In Quality Improvement Program, short-term programs are organized with an objective to brush up the knowledge of academicians of AICTE approved colleges with new discoveries and technologies of teaching and research in pharmacy. DIPSAR has been organizing QIP courses for almost 2 decades. In short-term program of QIP, starting from today, eminent scientists from academia and industry from India and abroad would deliberate. I am sure the participants shall be benefited by this 35th short-term program of QIP. Again, I'd like to welcome and thank Professor Saraf for consenting to be chief guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words, for addressing the delegates. Now over to Bhumika.
Bhumika, unmute yourself.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, QIP patron, Professor R.K. Goyal, sir, and I request Manju Vyas ma'am to kindly welcome him.
Professor Ramesh K. Goyal, the Vice Chancellor of Delhi Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research University, has been the Vice Chancellor of University of Baroda. He is Executive Director at V Clean Biolabs, Chennai. Also Director at NIMS University, Mumbai. Director ISF College of Pharmacy, Moga, Punjab. He has also worked as a professor at LM College of Pharmacy, Ahmedabad. Recently, he has been given honorary professor of Stavropol State Medical University, Russia, and he is second non-Russian professor being bestowed upon this title in 80 years of university. He has over 40 years of experience in teaching and research, particularly in cardiovascular pharmacology and diabetes. He was a postdoctoral scholar, visiting scientist and visiting professor in University of British Columbia, Vancouver, and University of Manitoba, Winnipeg, Canada. He got 3 patents awarded and 4 under consideration, 2 books, over 350 full papers, articles, and book chapters. The H index is 42, and over 600 abstracts published in national and international journals. He has guided 44 PhD and 185 MPharm students. He is the recipient of 74 national and international awards. Best Pharmacy Teacher and Best Pharmaceutical Research Scientist Award from APTI, Lifetime Achievement and Distinguished Leadership Award from International Academy of Cardiovascular Sciences, Canada, and R.J. Wegman Award from Indian Society of Hypertension, and Award of Millennium from International College of Nutrition. He is the fellow of 8 professional bodies. He has been the president of Indian Pharmacological Society, Society of Pharmacovigilance, India, Indian Society of Hypertension. Currently, He is council member of the IACS Canada and vice president of IACS India. He has attended number of seminars, workshops and conferences as a resource person and also chaired various sessions. Dr. Goel has delivered over 249 invited lectures in India and 31 lectures abroad, including many prestigious orations. He has worked on anti-diabetic herbal plants from preclinical to clinical studies and identified biomarkers not only for quality assessment, but also as a lead for specific targets involved in the prevention of cardiovascular complications associated with diabetes. He has been also involved in research related to personalized medicine and new drug development through 505(b)(2) mode. He also served as an expert committee member for Indian Medicinal Plants Review being published by ICMR. Currently, he is member of Scientific Advisory Group in Herbal Division of ICMR, Scientific Advisory Committee of Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, Faridabad, and Phytopharmaceutical Group of Central Drug Standards Control Organization, New Delhi. He has also served as a chairman of the many committees, including Endosulfan Committee of the Government of Gujarat and Oxytocin Committee of CDESCO. Thank you, sir. Now over to our respectable Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor R.K. Goel.
Thank you, Dr. Manju Vyas, for giving such elaborate introduction. It was not needed, especially because we have the guest also, Shailendra Sharafji, and also I have to give a lecture and I have to leave at 11:30 because there is another program waiting for me. So I'm taking the time. Anyway, welcome, Professor Sharafji. We are really lucky to have you. We are really fortunate and we are honored. This is the 35th, as told by Dr. Pathak and others. For last 21 years, without any break, QIP programs are going on in DIPSAR and DIPSRU. And this is 35th. So you can imagine that consistency which has been maintained by the College of Pharmacy to DIPSAR to DIPSRU. And we are sure that many have been benefited, and being the nodal center also, we have extra responsibility for the teachers for their higher education, getting higher degrees. B.Pharm are getting M.Pharm, M.Pharm are getting PhD across the country. So this is what the commitment of our university and the campus. As far as the programs, I will not go into detail, but with all of the COVID, things have changed and everything is new, different. I can say some differences are, some of the things are good, some are bad. Yes, we are missing you all. We could have been here. But good thing is that in this QIP program, we could get around minimum 5 to 7 to more than around 15 international speakers. That has never happened before in any QIP like this. This is something, and the credit goes to the entire team, Dr. Pathak, Dr. Sahu, Dr. Bodla, Dr. Vakude, all those who have really brought in the good talents all around across the world. That is what, this shows that how connected are our staff members here. And then this coverage has been such that when it was offline, we used to see that many are not coming up. They spend time there, but now it is different. Number one, the attendance has never been below 60. Around most of the time, 50 were always there, whether it is the beginning or in the end, even in the valedictory. And sometime it crossed even 100. I know some people can just put on the the link and go to sleep or go to somewhere else. But still, the interaction which happened after that, that indicates that no, they were all active. I mean, there may be 25% cases like that, but not beyond that. So even if you take that, so 75 participant every time is the something which is which speaks by itself. We are getting good suggestions to have virtual practicals also. Of course, we used to have an industrial tour to other the National Institute tours that we are missing. But in any case, the coverage has been very good. And in all 4 QIPs this time, COVID was under another center point for all. And I don't know whether it was good or bad. I had to speak thrice in the lecture on the COVID itself. And today also, again, maybe partially it is a repetition also, but partially, yes, something is new. But different aspects of role of pharmacy in COVID they have been covered. This is what is something which is very, very pleasing to all of us. Now, without taking more time, because I have to give my lecture also, so I have a pleasure to introduce our chief guest, and I will request him to speak and give his inaugural speech. Professor Shailendra Saraf. I know all of you are knowing him as the vice president of the APTI. You are also knowing him as the vice chancellor of Durg University, also knowing as the member of several committees like DTAB, NBA, NAC, ISCA, that is the Indian Science Congress also, the Asian Association of College of Pharmacy, the Indian Society of Technical Education, and whatnot. You also must be knowing that he is a recipient of several awards. The latest, very prestigious, the KM Parikh Award of ISTM for outstanding services in pharmacognosy, the herbal drugs, the Ayurvedic drugs. And besides that, the Pharma Ratan, the Merit of Excellence Award and whatnot. You are all knowing all this and his services in the university, the Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University of Raipur, where he is the dean as well as the director of the University Institute of Pharmacy. But what I could know after some close interactions recent of late, he is a research scholar also. I have seen the quality of research papers which he has been publishing. This is one of the distinguished features which I always admire for anybody, but this is something outstanding. Another thing is that he has a passion to do something for pharmacy profession, and that's what he's doing. I mean, being the member, yes, he is also member of PCI for 14 years, like our B. Suresh, who is again 4th time, but doing something in the PCI, that is important. Being the member is all right, but doing something for the profession, bringing something new for the profession, that's what is a commonality between our Professor Suresh and Professor Shailendra Saraf. They've really done such a hard work to bring new reforms in the PCI. PCI was there, but why in last 10 years it is so vibrant? Something has been distinct. Farm D program to begin with, I will say, followed by the regulations which brought the pharmacy practice concept and implementation. Nobody thought of doing something reforms in the PG level program. They did that also. So these are some of the things for which I really admire him, and I really feel a lesson to be learned from him, the inspiration to be taken from Professor Shailendra Saraf. With these words, I request you to please give your inaugural speech. Please unmute yourself, please.
So, my pranam to Dr. Goel Saab, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the prestigious university, Dr. D.P. Pathak, the leadership of DIPSAR, Dr. Manju, Bhumika, Dr. Vakole, and Dr. Bodla. It's really my pleasure and definite the honor for me to be here. And I'm really speechless today, this morning, because my introduction is given by the stalwart like Professor Goel. And I think this is the biggest award for me for my professional journey. The way he was talking, I'm really, I bow my head low in respect, sir. And this is the motivation we all are working just because of the blessings of all of you. Now, as I was on the contrary, I was just responding to the introduction of Dr. Goel Saab. He is having 42 actually. Those who are in active research, this 42 speaks on its own. And at the same time, more than 78 awards. And I think in our lifetime, we'll see the half century of his H index and century of awards. And it must be a role model for all of us. We have seen in last 4 decades the transformation of a great teacher into an institution. And we all salute you, sir, for your contribution and leadership, and you are always blessing all of us. This morning, when I was thinking about joining this platform organized by Dr. D.P. Pathak, it reminds me 26-year-old event when I joined the BN College of Pharmacy in the same day. This was September of 2019-94. We were sharing the same floor on the first floor in the BN College. And there was a nice interaction with Dr. D.P. Pathak, always discussing on different academic issues. So it make me something like thrown into memory lane, and I am really cherishing all such memories for long. Why I'm saying, because this is an honor for me. This is the only and the first pharmaceutical university of this country invited on this platform. So it's a definite pleasure for me. At the same time, it's a well-taken topic for this FDP, because this is 35th in a row. Organizing 1 or 2 FDP is not a problem, but maintaining the continuity for last 21 years speaks on its own. And the average per year is more than 1.6, almost 2 FDP every year. And that too relevant, the people are in the queue to attend such FDPs. So my compliments and my felicitations to all of you for organizing such type of activities on a routine basis. While we are talking about the pharmaceutical education and research, emerging trends in phytopharmaceuticals. So this is a fashion for last 70 years. Then whatever is recognized with the West, we are following the same fashion. But this time something is different. The West is recognizing the existing of the great Ayurvedic system, particularly this pandemic period. So this is something where this is the moment when we can say we can burn the spirit of pride in our hearts that our system is recognized. And this is some sort of reverse engineering happening in last 70 years. So now we can realize, because the West is realizing, respecting the cultural heritage and particularly Ayurveda. And when we are talking about the frontiers of the phytopharmaceuticals, so somehow we are talking about the Ayurveda. And as it is mentioned in Ayurveda, Soyam Ayurveda Saswatam Anaditvat. It is we can say eternal, without any beginning or end. We cannot understand what are the boundaries. So when you are talking, we see the word meaning of frontier, the limit between what do we know and what we don't know. So we know a little about Ayurveda, and there are a lot more to learn about the Ayurveda. But here, most of the teachers or young teachers are there, I believe, for this FDP. So we have to think something, what should be the role model, what should be the roadmap if you really want to work in this field, and how you want to achieve something out of Ayurveda. So first you have to learn the spirit of respecting your own system of medicine, your own knowledge. And for that, this is time to write your own narrative. Because in South Africa, there's a saying, unless the lion tells his own story, the history of hunter will always glorify the hunter. So I can say we are the victim of the narratives fixed by the West. So fortunately, with the recognition of the West, we are recognized, we arrive at recognized. So now this is time to write our own narratives and percolate in the society that we belong to a great culture, Bahujan Hitaya, Bahujan Sukhaya, in the form of Ayurveda. For starting this particular, what should be the way out of this research to gain the laurels for this profession? So यदि हम मेरी बात यहाँ से शुरू करें तो हमें आयुर्वेदा की महानता तो हम समझते हैं, लेकिन हम एक जीवक का उदाहरण से हम शुरू करते हैं। जीवक एक ऐसे फिजिशियंस थे जिनको उस समय के रॉयल फिजिशियन भी कहा जाता था, एंड ही वाज फिजिशियन ऑफ बुद्धा, एंड दिस आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 5 BC, and he was thrice crowned physician by the then king of that region. But I'm talking about his observations. It is mentioned that if he can see the footprint of elephant, he can tell everything about the rider of the elephant. This is the observation. This is the height of the observations. And how he has developed this? Just because of teaching. When he was just 16, he transferred to Takshashila, and he was working with Atri. And Atri has given his the excellent knowledge. Because most important in at all you want to work in the field of phytopharmaceutical, Ayurveda, or plant science, your eyes must be wide open. You should be ready for the ideation. You should be ready for the observations. And how he has learned all such observation techniques. So he has been given a project while he was studying to go and find out one herb which is not having the medicinal property. And after working for long, he returned back with a lot of disappointment that I am unable to bring even a single medicinal herb or plant which is not having medicinal property. And that time, the degree of physician was awarded to him. So this is the observation that there is a potential in each and every herb, provided we have this insight and we have this much of knowledge and courage to transform this knowledge into a scientific text. And then another example I can give you, because this Ayurveda and this system of medicine in this country is a bit different from others. In India, the Bhaisajya are always equated with the god, Bhaisajya Devo Bhava. और इस तरह की जो भावना लेके बात की गई है, इसमें ये कहा गया है अमंत्रम अक्षरम नास्ति, नास्ति मूलम न औषधम, अयोग्य पुरुषो नास्ति, योजकस्तत्र दुर्लभ। उसमें ये कहा गया है कि इस दुनिया में कोई एक भी ऐसा शब्द नहीं है जिसके अरेंजमेंट से मंत्र नहीं बना सकते, कोई ऐसी हर्ब नहीं है जिसमें मेडिसिनल प्लांट नहीं है जो उसको आप औषधि में उपयोग नहीं कर सके। केवल आवश्यकता है ऐसे योजकस्त्र की जो इन चीजों को प्रॉपरली शब्दों को अरेंज कर सके, मंत्र बनाने के लिए मेडिसिनल प्लांट में से वो चीजें निकाल सके जिसमें मेडिसिन पर्पस के लिए यूज कर सके। तो इस तरह के जो योजकस्त्र है जो हम बनाना है, हमें ऐसे लीडर्स बनाना है जो इन चीजों को ट्रांसलेट कर सके। दिस इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ दिस कंट्री, एंड फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर concept, we should those who are working in the field of phytopharmaceutical, Ayurveda or any system medicine, they should study the life journey, scientific journey of Tu Yu. She is the scientist from China, and you just see the amazing journey of Tu Yu. Now we are celebrating. She got the Nobel Prize in 2015, and artemisinin is a reality. It saved life of several thousand of patients across the world. But how she can reach up to that level? I can quote one example. When she was just 35 and she was working in the field of this on this project given by the my mouth so thing to isolate to give a medicine for the pandemic like malaria, and she started working, and at that time she was knowing more than 2,000 herbs have been screened and nobody, not even a single resulted into a drug. And more than 22 lakh compounds were tested across the world. Not even a single resulted into drug. Still, they see the patients, and she keep on working on this area, and finally she got. But the most important I want to mention here is when she returned from this laboratory after 3 months, her young daughter failed to recognize the mother, and that was the heartbreaking event, and she was hiding from her mother. So this is the lesson we can say, how much the devotion she had even for the caste of the family and all that. Then only she could reach up to that level. One more example everybody's talk about the QUU is she was conventionally trained in pharmacology. She was well acquainted with the modern pharmaceutical pharmacological concepts. At the same time, she was conventionally trained in the field of Chinese medicine. So this is some this amalgamation is very important if you are working in the field of Ayurveda or Indian system of medicine. She was graduated in pharmacology and physiology. At the same time, she was having the 2 years full-time learning in the field of Chinese medicine. And there are different steps which clearly demonstrate how to work in the field of pharmaceutical sciences or Ayurveda. Once this particular Artemisia annua, which is known as the Mahang, or which is also a great herb in this particular region, was shown preliminary results against the malaria, but all of sudden activity was lost. So again, the UTUTU has mentioned, I have not invented anything new. This is the reinvention. It is already mentioned in the Chinese text. And when this problem was there, she again go back to library. She again referred the text, and there she observed that then the text is representing or advocating the decoction, cold decoction or maceration, and there should not be any heat treatment. And after the UTUTU again returned back to the laboratory, devised method where she ensured there is no artifact, there is no charring, there is no harm in the thermolabile compound, and she could reach to destination. So there are several lessons we can learn from a lady like UTUTU. And we have also observed that this drug was isolated in early 75 and recognized as a drug, but it took almost 40 years to get the recognition worldwide. But see the patients. So there are scary take-home messages from the life sketch of that lady, how you can pursue in this particular field. First, you should have sufficient patience. Second, you should have orientation, knowledge of the ancient text. Then you should have knowledge of both the ends, because what is happening in this particular era of science, we always love to live in isolation. And why we are living in isolation? Because the specialization or super specialization is ultimately leading to super isolation. This specialization is leading to nowhere. So this is the worldwide demand now. There is no need to have specialized research work, but there is a need to have interpersonal relationship, multidisciplinary research. And in some countries, people are talking about anti-disciplinary research. There should not be any compartmentalized approach, but all should come on one platform if at all they want to come out with some certain solutions. So based on these observations, I can discuss two things here. One is the phytopharmaceutical regulation of Government of India, published in 2015. This is the extract of the experience of the great lady QUU, who based on her observations, this phytopharmaceutical regulation has been devised, and that is, I think, a reality across the globe. And the beauty of this regulation is anybody who is really interested to come out with his or her own drug molecule based on lead from plants must be a boon for them. What is mentioned here, there is no need to identify the pinpoint the active compound which is really responsible for the medicinal activity, but there must be identification of at least 4 compounds, qualitative and quantitatively, just for the fingerprinting. And then you can go ahead with the clinical trials. And clinical trials, this is also waived in case of any herbal drug is reported or used for years together. So government of India will, under this regulation, will give waiver for the clinical trials. And it is rightly mentioned in Ayurveda, if you are following the classical method of formulation, it means this particular plant, this particular formulation is of standard. So there is no separate standardization or evaluation methods mentioned in Ayurveda. If you are following the classical method, यदि आप कोई शास्त्रीय पद्धति से कोई फॉर्मुलेशन बनाते हैं तो वह ऑटोमेटिक ही पूरी पद्धति से आपको एक स्टैंडर्ड का आपको ड्रग देगा. दिस इज द कांसेप्ट ऑफ रिसर्च और फॉर्मुलेशन बाय डिजाइन adopted by Ayurveda, and that too observation based. And this is the greatness of that time of this particular period, that all specialized knowledge converted into generalized knowledge, and it has been sent to each and every kitchen of this nation. And this is a simple reflection of our culture, because this culture is not the culture of invaders from northeast. This is not the culture of conquerors from Greece, or this is not the culture of traders from British. This is the culture of Bahujan Hitay and Bahujan Sukhay. So we have a great cultural heritage, but this is time to reinvent ourselves. With the development of this information technology, we are living in a big village, and we have to follow the norms of the village. And that's why there was no concept of IPR earlier, but now this is the need of the hour to give your sufficient time and energy to protect your intellectual property rights. Because Mashelkar once said, the capacity of academia to translate the academic research into financial gain will bring the respect to a nation. So in this terms, you have to better utilize the concept of phytopharmaceutical regulation of the government of India and come out of with different solutions. But you have to make sure that you are following the norms of IPR, and you are protecting all the norms of intellectual property mentioned in our ancient text. So this is one. And second important thing is we have to go ahead as far as the new leads are concerned for the extracts and active for the plant. So we have to evolve some mechanism which are based on ethnopharmacological studies. And for that, this is one beautiful model set by Dr. Pushpagandhan, and that is known as a profit sharing model with the tribal people, with the Kani tribes. This Kani tribe is basically from the August hills in western Ghats of the Kerala, where a beautiful this example, like we can quote there always, because a survey team from the government organization was visiting that region, and they have observed that after even 3 days, the local people, they are not feeling any fatigue. So when they asked, they shared the information with a lot of hitch that they are using a particular herb which is known as Arogya Pacha. Later it was identified as given as a Sanjeevani. So this particular knowledge was taken by the scientist. Then a joint patent was raised. The technology was transferred. Some money was transferred to the government. It is not satisfactory, but this model can be useful if we want to translate the cultural heritage, or you can say scientific knowledge of tribal people. So there are two important things. One, you have to learn to respect their wisdom. They are more wiser than us because they are surviving there for centuries together without any modern science techniques or tools, and they are staying there in the deep forest. So we have to learn to respect their idea. At the same time, we have to learn to share our profits and for the well-being of those tribal people. So they are the two things where we can excel. First, we can utilize the phytopharmaceutical regulation. With the help of this phytopharmaceutical regulation, we can better translate the Ayurveda or our Indian system of medicine. And second, there is a lot of scope as far as the translation of tribal knowledge is concerned, and through this profit sharing knowledge, we can share this also. Beside this, we can take example of South African concept of Ubuntu, live together, work together. There should not be anti-biases, always symbiosis. So we have to realize the concept of Ubuntu from the South Africa, and we can reach in this idea. At the same time, one more thing which always the pharmacologists misses, this is known as a microbiome activity, because there is more than I think 100 trillion microorganisms in our gut, and the total weight of total microflora is 1.5 to 2 kg. And this is the microbial flora which is responsible to give the transformation of particular chemical moiety into a genome structure of human being. So this is a lot of we can say thrust being given to study the microbiome. Even in the West, they are preparing some laboratory on the tablet, and whenever it is traveling to your gut, it is giving the total orientation of what is the gut microbial flora is there. So this is also another important area where we have to work, and there is need not to do the research by fashion, but do the research by ideation. Because what is happening, we have this ideation is missing in our academia. So this is the right time to adopt this, because once Albert Einstein said the ideation is the highest form of research. But throughout the world, the pharmacists are not involved in ideation, forecasting, or warning, because this particular pandemic we have seen, there were certain observations given by certain physicians, even metaphysicists, but no ideation given by any pharmacists across the world. Once this Steve Jobs said there must be total dominance of electronic in the field of medicines. Stephen Hawking once said, today, tomorrow, or day after tomorrow, there must be real success in the artificial intelligence. And he warned also, the real success in artificial intelligence will start writing the script of human being. But we are not taking any initiative in this direction also. And even Bill Gates in 2015 in his TED Talks had mentioned, he has given a beautiful comparison between a cloud after nuclear weapon with the influenza virus. And he has warned this world, this future pandemic is coming in the form of influenza virus. But we fail to take this initiative. When we are patting our back for the production of formulations, this is not enough. Our Prime Minister said we are the pharmacy of the world, but that is not enough. What is the need? What is the need for the, what is the challenge before the scientists or youth of this country is, we have to transform ourselves into a pharmaceutical laboratory of the world. Then we will be able to command the respect in the society. We should not be merely a service provider. That was a necessity. The drugs were not available, drugs were not affordable. So we have acquired this particular capacity, that not we are catering the needs of the society in the form of the availability and affordability, but we are catering the needs of the whole of the world in the form of available formulations. But this is stage 2. We have to think about, we have to start respecting our own ideation. We have to try to translate our ideas into reality, and try to translate its financial value as well. Sky is the limit, and this particular cultural heritage in the form of Ayurveda give lot of scope. And if you have really devotion, dedication, and passion for the work, you will come with several such laurels if you're really working in the field of Ayurveda. But you have to see Ayurveda with the specs of Ayurveda. There is no need to see the Ayurveda with the specs of allopathy or modern science. So this is the example set by Tu Yu. She was conventionally trained in modern science, but at the same time, she was having competence in the field of Chinese medicine. So there is a need. We are also having some turning on this issue, how to integrate both the science in the pharmaceutical sciences. So I will also request the organization to share your observations, if any, with Pharmacy Council of India in order to devise a course which is really helping the translation of Ayurvedic text into modern day medicine. So friends, those who are participating here, the very purpose of this FDP is to rejuvenate yourself. और मैं हमेशा कि जो जब भी FDP में बात करता हूँ तो मैं ईगल की बात जरूर करता हूँ कि ईगल को भी बहुत जरूरत होती है इस तरह की चीजों को, और उसकी लाइफ हिस्ट्री हम सीख सकते हैं। एक ईगल एक ऐसा पक्षी होता है जो 140 देशों के एम्बलम पे है, or this is not by notification, this is by choice. They have adopted the eagle as a national bird or king of the birds. लेकिन वो उसको राजा होने के कारण उसको कुछ त्याग भी करना पड़ते हैं. यदि हम ईगल की पूरी हिस्ट्री को देखें तो जब ईगल के जो अभिभावक अंडे देते हैं तो दुनिया के सबसे ज्यादा नुकीले कांटों को चुनते हैं नेस्ट बनाने के लिए, और उनके ऊपर सॉफ्टेस्ट फेदर्स को रखते हैं. रीजन ये होता है कि जब तक बच्चे उसके अंदर हैं, दे शुड एंजॉय ऑल द कंफर्ट. वंस दे आर आउट ऑफ द हैचिंग इज देयर, दे हैव टू रियलाइज नो कंफर्ट इज देयर. दिस इज द फर्स्ट लेसन. सेकंड, जब बच्चे होते हैं तो उनके जो अभिभावक, उनके चील होते हैं या जो ईगल होते हैं, उसको 10 किलोमीटर ऊपर जाके छोड़ देते हैं और जमीन से 2-3 फीट ऊपर उनको आकर पकड़ते हैं. और ये वो फेज होती है जहां पर उनका बीच में जो द्वंद्व होता है, दिस प्लेजर ऑफ सक्सेस एंड फियर ऑफ फेल्योर, वो खत्म हो जाता है. दे स्टार्ट एंजॉयिंग द प्लेजर ऑफ सक्सेस. और तीसरा सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट इसमें जो ईगल के लाइफ स्पान में होता है कि जब वो 35 साल का होता है तो उसके जो नाखून होते हैं मुड़ जाते हैं, चोंच बड़ी होकर मुड़ जाती है और उसके पंख हैवी हो जाते हैं, वो उड़ नहीं पाता. और वह, उसके पास में 3 ऑप्शन होते हैं कि वह किया हुआ मरा हुआ मांस खाए, या मृत्यु को गले लगाए, या एक बहुत डिफिकल्ट फेज से गुजरे. और वो क्योंकि राजा होता है तो तीसरी फेज से गुजरता है. वो चट्टान के ऊपर बैठ के अपने खुद की चोंच से अपने सारे पंखों को उखाड़ फेंकता है, पत्थर के बीच फंसा के अपने नाखून और चोंच भी तोड़ देता है. और उसके बाद में 35 दिन बाद उसके नए पंख उगते हैं, नई चोंच होती है और शिकार को पकड़ने के नए पंजे उसके तैयार हो जाते हैं. और ये उसका रिजुविनेशन होता है और पुनः वो 35 ईयर्स जिंदा रहता है. माय डियर यंग फेलो फ्रेंड्स, ये जो एफडीपी है ये भी आपको एक समय है कि आपको जो पुरानी नॉलेज है, यू हैव टू लर्न द कांसेप्ट ऑफ अनलर्निंग. आपको अपने पंख उखाड़ के फेंक देना है, चोंच को निकाल देना है, नए पंजे तैयार कर लेना है. और दिस रिजुविनेशन will lead you for successful, respectful another 35-40 years. So this is the spirit of FDP. You should attend SDP religiously, not for namesake, because they are going to rejuvenate yourself, and that way you will be able to contribute your significant efforts towards the well-being of the profession, and you will be able to command the respect. So with these words, I am really happy that I have got this honor in the best university of this country, nation, headed by the stalwart of our time, and that too an introduction given by Honorable Vice Chancellor. It's a really memorable day for me, and I really, with all humility, I am accepting this honor, and I'll remember in my lifetime the respect and honor given to me, and I'm thankful to my friend Dr. Pathak and other leadership in DIPSAR for inviting me. And I will take another opportunity in near future, when our pandemic is over, to visit all of you in person and have an opportunity for the interaction. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity, and I'm really happy to be here, and I am wishing all success. And I am requesting, I am just praying Almighty to keep all of us safe, happy, healthy, at the same time professionally active. Thank you very much once again, sir.
Thank you.
My regards and respect to Dr. Goyal, Dr. Pathak, and all of the leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I wish that what you told, that it is the best university, we really proved that it is where right now we are still struggling to get the name in that, but definitely institute has been the best, but let it be a good university also. So with your blessings and with your all wishes, we will be achieving that. Yes, over to Bhumika.
Now, sir, I request our VC sir to present Dr. Sharaf with the e-certificate.
Well, please accept this. This is the difference in the offline and offline.
It's very effective, sir. Very effective.
Thank you. So thank you very much for accepting it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being with us and sparing your time. Now over to Bhumika. Bhumika. Now I request Dr. Bodla to
The vote of thanks, please.
Hello.
for a vote of thanks.
Hello.
I request Dr. Bodla.
Hello. Good morning. Am I audible to you?
Yes, yes.
Good morning. Good morning. Honorable Chief Guest of the Day, Professor Shailendra Shah, Honorable Vice Chancellor Ramesh Goyal, and respected Director DIPSAR, Dr. D.P. Pathak, and other professors of the institution, Professor P.K. Sahu, Professor Wakode, Professor Raju Tong, Professor Ajay Sharma, and Professor C.R. Patil, and Professor.
Hello.
Pandita.
Better not to.
Good morning to all of you. One saying is that technology will never replace a great teacher, but technology in the hands of a great teacher is transformational. With this particular motto of the George Chorus, a teacher in Canada, technology will not replace a great teacher, but technology in the hands of a great teacher is transformational. With this motto, it is our continued efforts to organize quality improvement programs for the faculties, not only for the faculties of the DIPSAR and DIPSARU, but to all the faculties across the world, length and breadth of this particular country. I feel privileged and honored to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of my entire faculty, administration at DIPSAR and DIPSARU on this auspicious occasion of the inaugural ceremony of the 35th QIP on this day, which is organized.
Start कर दिया आपने?
Organized and sponsored by
कितनी देर बाद
AICT.
मेरा नंबर आ रहा है उसमें?
Hello, sir. Sorry for the interruption, sir.
Carry on, carry on.
Okay, sir. We are thankful to have Dr. Shailendra Shah, a towering personality, and I need not tell about his academic and administrative credentials. And one message of Dr. Shailendra Shah is transform ourselves like an eagle. Like an eagle, sir. With your message, I hope our fellow pharmacists and people who are joined this particular QIP program will follow your instructions, and they will work on these particular lines, and most of them are from the pharmacognosy field. And your punching words for the Ayurveda, and then Jivika, and then drugs from traditional medicines to the clinically used drugs. And of course, that is what is actually a reality come true. So far we have so many other drugs which have been developed from as a lead molecules from the traditional plants like Cinchona, and then Mahang, ephedra, and other drugs, reserpine and other drugs. And I hope it is our endeavor to isolate, identify,
So वो फ्लू लगाते हैं
and
ना?
quantify.
ऐसा एक फ्लू लगाते हैं जो जहाँ पे मिस्टेक हो जाती है.
Quantify this particular natural products from the plant sources and herbal sources and marine sources. And I hope all our delegates will carry your message and follow the sequence of pleasure of success and avoid the fear of failure. And I hope with this your vision, the India should be a laboratory of the world, pharmaceutical laboratory of the world. I hope it is partially coming true. As such, very recently, we have supplied our hydroxychloroquine to more than 160 countries within a span of a month time, and within a span of during this particular COVID, so many companies started producing remdesivir and hydroxychloroquine to cater the demands of this particular world needs. And not only this, and in fact, India is also promising a potential producer for the required vaccines of the COVID to supply for the global requirements. And now we are self-sufficient in our what after this particular COVID, either in the PPE kits or the masks or any other this particular thing, because of the our Honorable Prime Minister Atmanirbhar Bharat message, and we are in a position to export our drugs and pharmaceuticals and finished products to the more than 160 countries of the world. And sir, we are very thankful to have you on this auspicious day, and your presence and your message is a carry home message to all of us at DIPSAR and to the delegates from all over India. Thank you, sir, once again for your presence and gracious lecture and your inputs. I am also thankful to Professor Ramesh Goyal, our Honorable Vice Chancellor. And in fact, we are enjoying this particular academics as well as administration and university setup as a one family, like a Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And I am actually, we don't require any, no words can require his nature. But one thing, what I can say is we have a amalgam of academic as well as administrative capabilities, and he is having a clear vision and mission for the development of pharmacy profession, and being the very first vice chancellor for this India's first pharmaceutical university. We are very fortunate to have you, sir, with us, and your Dr. Goyal is a down-to-earth personality, and he can walk down to any lecturer and assistant professor cabin to meet him and to see him. And I saw him always working for 16 to 18 hours continuously for the academics. And during the past 4 years, the university has seen a rapid strides in the development, a multifaceted development, an all-round 360-degree development, both in the intellectual capitals as well as the infrastructure, and which is also indicated by our increase in the number of student strength as well as schools, departments, and our MOUs signed by globally, and we have signed more than 50 MOUs with the different research organizations and different universities globally. Thank you, sir. Dr. Ramesh, we are very thankful and honored to have you as our Vice Chancellor. And with this, I hope we will be very shortly in the world list of best pharmaceutical institutions. And I am also thankful to our director, Dr. D.P. Pathak, who is also an academician and administrator. And Dr. D.P. Pathak is very friendly to us, and he never says no to anything which is academically or administratively required. And it's a very pleasing and pleasant working with Dr. D.P. Pathak. Thank you, sir, for your gracious presence and blessing this particular opening ceremony of the 35th QIP. I am also thankful to Dr. Manju Vyas, coordinator of this 35th QIP, who worked day and night and meticulously planned the lectures very compactly without wasting this particular time. Along with, I am also thankful to the Sakshi, and I am also thankful to the delegates. So far, around 45 delegates have been registered, and so many phone calls are coming to admit other people from Kumaon and other areas of Dehradun and others. So maybe we will be in a position to accommodate them also today. And I hope the delegates will have a pleasant as well as a very encouraging and carry forward these particular recent developments in the facets of science and technology and various fields of pharmaceutical education. And I am also thankful to the galaxy of speakers who are selected from length and breadth of not only the country and from USA and Thailand and then Australia also. And they are from various CSIR organizations, DRDOs, and they include our alumni, our students, and they are very eager and very anxious and very ambitious to develop, discuss about their research findings and during this particular COVID-19, as it is a virtual platform, so everybody accepted very readily. And I am also thankful to our QIP team, IT department, Mr. Pankaj, Rahul, and Saroj, who also have been working very continuously for screening and then admitting these particular delegates from all over the country. With this, I do not like to waste much of the time. And once again, I'll thank on my behalf as well as on behalf of my university, college, and faculty and administration, a very big thanks. And then to Dr. Shailendra Shroff, who has been very kind enough to accept with just a phone call to be the chief guest. And sir, your message is very inspirational, and we will also work on your lines as per your guidance, and maybe we will rejuvenate ourselves to the new frontiers of this particular your message. Thank you, sir. Great of you. Thank you, Dr. Goel. Thank you, Dr. Patak, and thank you all the fellows. And
Goel sir, I am leaving, sir. Good day, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Sir,
yes,
sir, you are supposed to leave at 11:30.
Yeah, so
I don't want to. We will invite Dr.
Bel Pandian. Yeah, and I will take little later, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that will be
sure,
fine.
sir.
At the time I will be doing it.
Why? Because we don't want to keep you in a hurry, and in fact, your lectures are much more appreciated by the faculty as well as delegates. So we will have it in a cooling. And sorry for the delayed inaugural program.
No, it's fine. That's all right.
Thank you, sir.
I thought 15 minutes day was all right, but I am not having any time in this. So I have to change it. We will change it. I will give you after that. Dr. Velpandian sir, welcome. I don't want your time to be rechanged. It is exactly 11:30, so it is nice to see that till I'm just trying to connect to other one because already one is waiting for me. So thank you for accepting our invitation, and I will be missing this lecture, but all the best to you. So I will be leaving and you can continue. And Dr. Velpandian, to all the participants, I would like to tell that if you are looking to set up any lab in your institute in a real rightful manner, visit him. That's what I will say. Definitely you should visit. It is in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. In fact, I myself wanted to start something in our university, a sort of industrial pharmacy with the pharmacy practice as the theme, which is given by the PCI also. And in real sense, we want to make the student learn how industry looks like. Because when they go out, they are not allowed to really see the things. And here, in just one or simply half floor, he has done everything. In fact, Dr. Velpandian, I will tell, I have requested some of the staff members from pharmaceutics, including Dr. Shushma Talegaonkar and all. They have visited your place, and they, on return, they said, yes, what you said is correct. So we will need your help. We will need your continuous support, not only in this area, but also in the, please, you can, also in the clinical research. So please be prepared, and we will, our association will continue, Dr. Velpandian. I think your email, okay. So, Dr. Velpandian, you will be with us, not only for setting up the industrial pharmacy lab, which I am dreaming at, the pharmacy practice division of the university, and the clinical pharmacy, you will be continuing to help us. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I have to take the leave, so I am leaving myself.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, it's a great privilege that you visited us and you explained everything. I'm so happy about it, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Now over to Bhumika. Bhumika? Over to Bhumika.
Bhumika. Madam, you can tell Bhumika. Now she is unmuted. Welcome, Professor Velpandian.
Thank you so much, sir.
Namaskar, namaskar.
Now
We
we'll
are
be
very
heading
sorry to-
towards our first
Happy
lecture
to
of
be
the
with you again.
series, and I would like to invite Professor D.P. Pathak, sir, to kindly introduce our speaker, Professor T. Velpandian, sir, from AIMS.
It's my honor to introduce.
Professor D.P. Pathak, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Sir, from AIMS.
It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Velpandian. He is professor and in charge of ocular pharmacology and pharmacy division in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. He has guided more than 55 students for their PhD, MD, DM, MPharm, MSc thesis work from the capacity of supervisor or co-supervisor. Yes.
Only host can make co-host.
He has delivered more than 80 public lectures and contributed to 134 original research articles in peer-reviewed journals. He has also served as a reviewer of more than 11 international journals, edited 2 books, and has contributed chapters in 10 books. He has filed 9 patents and granted 2 patents so far. He is a recipient of many awards like Professor Venkat Reddy Oration by Arvo India chapter for the year 2019. AIMS Excellence Award for consecutively 3 years and Dr. Vinod Kumar Bhargav Award in 2014 for clinical pharmacology and drug discovery by National Academy of Medical Sciences, India, and Servier Young Scientist Award by Institut de Recherches International, Servier, France. Currently, he is also serving as editor pharmacology of Indian Journal of Physiology and Pharmacology and Index Official Journal of APPI. He is also section editor of Ocular Pharmacology, Indian Journal of Ophthalmology, 2017. Now I invite Professor Velpandian for his deliberation. Thank you, Professor Velpandian.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, it's a great pleasure to come again for QIP, again and again for QIP. And I must thank Professor Goyal, Professor Pathak, Professor Borla, and my friend Vakode. All the time in anything, anything, almost in every QIP, I've been invited to give a lecture. I'm so privileged. I'm feel very. I'm glad to do that every time. I'm so happy about it, sir. Let me just share my screen. 1 minute. Today's lecture, I'm going to talk about innovation and research opportunities for natural products. Almost, it's a topic which I always love to talk, especially in any crowd in India. It's very important at this juncture because as an editor of Indian Journal of Physiology Pharmacology, one of the official journal of Association of Physiologists Pharmacologists of India, I always want to convey a few things to my peer colleagues at different colleges and as well as my students. There is something which I always commonly observed in Indian academics. So we all involved in research and development continuously, and every lecturer has a luxury of having students, and they are doing research at different colleges wherever they are. But finally, when it comes to sending or compiling the data, sometimes I always feel that there's some sort of thing is lagging behind. And if you just look into the way that how China has progressed, especially in case of traditional medicines, how they try to bring science into that, it's mind-boggling. So I thought, like, let me just give you an overview about natural products and of course our contributions in the same. So I just take you inside. Innovations, this is the buzzword right now. Every time, all agencies right now, we are trying to see a new world altogether, new India, in which the opportunities India is rising is every country is predicting about India's rise in the area of science and innovation. The innovation is something that everywhere everything is talked about, and every IIT is having incubators. Incubators now, incubator has come to DIPSAR. I am very happy. I must thank Professor Goel for bringing this possible at DIPSAR and making incubating the companies. And if you go to any good institution now, they're all having incubators where they allow the young minds to start something that what they feel what they're trying to achieve in science, to come into a platform where they can give at par with commercially, they will be able to succeed in their innovation. It's not that research what you do in your laboratory or you publish paper, it has to come to market. It has to come for common people. It has to come to use. Otherwise, your research, what you send as a publication, somewhere it is trying to create a junk, either it is in your office or it is in your library or it is in the international library. Unless otherwise, the research has some meaning or some takers for your research. It's something that today, whatever I see is that I get a lot of papers from different colleges, anti-inflammatory property of this and that. It's all only the plants are changing, the models are same, the animals are same, almost everything is same. When a question come up, oh, so what? We have no other way to go further. So what is there in that plant which makes it unique? Whether can you have any standard to compare, or can you compare it with any other extract, any other compound, or any other similar type of species? So there is no much of research question to be asked or hypothesis tested in this kind of papers. At times it's a big problem for us to conclude whether to accept it for publication or not, as it doesn't have any new information. So always we look for any new information and any research which is being submitted today. Unless you go for an online journal paying 700 rupees or 500 rupees, get your article published, which is a very, very cheap thing to do in science. Getting into good journals, a very high standard journals or academic journals are very difficult, or society journals. Society journals are very difficult, so they've never accepted unless otherwise you have something new to talk about it. Now, so that I like to show this picture everywhere, and the main one is that is C.V. Raman, the great Nobel laureate India has ever produced. And that the Raman effect, even today we have Raman spectrometers which are imported from Japan and other European countries, where India never used this innovation to make a Raman spectrometer. Today we are importing it from abroad and using it. About 20 years back, I was hunting everywhere throughout all the laboratories in India, looking for it for a Raman spectrometer for some of my experiments, which then only I came to know that Indians never use the Indian discoveries. Somehow there is a gap. I think now that this atmosphere today is possible to bring any of your dream into realization. So he always says that history of science has always shown that real fundamental progress is always due to those who have ignored the boundaries and treated science as a whole. What does that mean, science as a whole? Whenever I just come across, whenever I interact with students, in my lab, many pharmacy students working here, somebody is having a background of pharmacology, somebody is having pharmacognosy, somebody is having medicinal products, and somebody is having hospital pharmacy, clinical pharmacy. I think today we have a lot of divisions. The divisions has been created in our mind. But when it comes to science, there is nothing called, you don't differentiate pharmacology from pharmaceutics from pharmacognosy. You have to look science as a whole to come out with something good. So that brings you, every domain, whatever the domain in science has to come together to address a problem, address an issue, or developing something. When whatever you do it should be of benefit to people. So something which is very interesting, what I observed is that there was, there is on my screen on the right hand corner, you see you see a picture of a man, and whom he represents. He is a common man of India, a poor man, a common man of India, who is contributing towards your research, your education, who has contributed to all our development so far. See, you published papers, you got degrees, you got PhDs, you got into a job and you start earning money, but these things have been done by the public infrastructure. What has been donated by this person? So he is asking, what you have done for me? You have been working in a government organization or a private organization. It doesn't make sense, doesn't make any difference. But what is your contribution towards him? This is the question he is asking, because he has contributed every penny. He has contributed whatever you got in your education, right from school towards your college, towards your PhD, everywhere his contribution is there. So it's time to give back those things to the society. So when you're just trying to look beyond now today, innovation is slightly different from discovery. Nobody is asking you to go and discover something, but it's at the same time, innovation is something that you are trying to use a principle more towards the requirement, what has been felt in the society. For example, let us see this. Let us see here. So something like, this is a thing which I always talk about, is that one of my professors used to talk about it. Someone makes it happen and others wonder how it has happened. So this is something that which is very commonly, my professor used to address. So, and that if an innovation, if you are not able to see an innovation, that you are blind. So something like you have to look beyond to make it possible. If an innovation is unidentified, one is blind to see the opportunity. This is what you try to look into it. There could be different ways of looking at things. So when you see, it could be inductive, the innovation could be inductive reasoning or deductive reasoning. There are two ways through which we try to talk about it. One is that you go with a hypothesis and you try to develop something based upon your hypothesis. It is something which is oriented one. But in sometimes what you do is what you see and try to create it. I mean, you see something is happening, you are finding that an opportunity to create something for it so that you can bring the more use, the thing, whatever you're seeing will be of use for some people. So it's all that, this picture shows the same thing, right? A person is using an umbrella that in a rain, but the umbrella, if you are inverting the umbrella, then that can be used as a water source, the water collection shows, and you will be able to take out water out of it. So this is a small one to show that whatever which is happening, how do you convert that into an innovation? Innovation is a state of mind. Innovators are something like, they are the group of people that try to practice what others or fail to identify. You try to use as an opportunity. So this is a small, it may not be having anything to do with natural products, but I must tell you this thing. So it has happened about few years back. I am from a farmer's family. So my father used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, or maybe 3 o'clock, or midnight at 2 o'clock. He will run towards the farm to pump the electric motor to pump water to the farm. And this is something which has been always, we felt that getting up to 2 o'clock, running towards the farm, just pumping water, because that time only electricity comes. In the daytime, the electricity is supplied to somewhere else, to the industries and other places. In the night, those things are not working, therefore the electricity is diverted for agriculture. So that somebody felt the requirement that that should be something a farmer sitting at home can do, operate the pump at his field. So somebody has come out with such a type of innovation. There's a mobile phone. It is with a small SIM and it is attached to the mains. The farmer just gives a small missed call, and we are good at it. The missed call comes to that SIM at morning at 2 o'clock. It is just on the pump, and when it automatically it runs. Whenever the power goes off, it switches off, or according to whatever the thing you have set it is having. So what you see here is that there is an unmet need. I mean, that need has been filled. It has given an opportunity for somebody. So we are all using mobile phones to communicate. So now he has come out with an idea of addressing this problem. And after that, he made it available for people. So all these things are hooked and linked. Now he has converted the idea into a product, and the product has its market as well as user. Or a scientist, now, other way around, if we just look at this thing, that it is a theory. A scientist that you are working in a laboratory, you come out with a theory. Well, you identify that histamine receptors are involved. It's not only involved in the respiratory system. The histamine receptors are involved in are available in the stomach also, which are involved in acid secretion. For example, there's a best thing to talk about. So you come out with a theory. Okay, if you try to develop an antagonist, you just try to block it, you will be able to use it for as a development of aldehyde compound. So this is how the scientist pushes this concept and simplifying the requirement, and he brings it to the user. Based upon the user, it can be pushed or pulled. Sometimes the users pull it because there is a requirement, so it is pulled, or you push the concept inside the market to make the success. So always that now, today it could be government of India is pumping quite a huge amount of money as well as opportunity to innovation program, startup program, stand-up program. All these programs are giving money for your research. All what you need to do today. Last year I think we got a BAG grant, that is a biotechnology ignition grant for one of our innovation which we developed in our laboratory, which has got a grant from BIRAC. It's a competitive grant, and I think most of the IITs get this grant. I think it's a time for you guys to come up with something so that you get something grant like that. And every institution today, and there are different parks. Our innovation parks are coming up with set of grants where you will be able to convert your idea into a product. So look, you have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of things. Don't get into hardcore drug discovery. That is something that you need to optimize several departments together. I understand that every pharmacy institution is running like an industry. It is a pharmaceutics department where you can develop combination. You have a chemistry department, you can synthesize. Analytical department, you can analyze. But what is missing there is they don't sit together and discuss. They don't sit together and talk about. It's not that you try to develop a strategy. You make some compound synthesized in chemistry department. That guy gets a degree, and this is getting analyzed in analytical department. That fellow gets a degree, and it comes to the pharmacology department. He does the experiment on animals. He gets a degree. So you have to integrate all of them together, then to make it possible to push into the market to meet the demand. There are something like Me Too innovations. It's a very difficult thing is Me Too innovations. There's something has been discovered. You try to create something equivalent to that and say, look, it is also capable of doing it. That is something called Me Too. That is the takers of Me Too are very less than the way, but the cost involved in making Me Too is also much less. So, well, this is how that innovation need to be looked into it. But in natural products, a lot of opportunities for you. But only thing is that you figured you have not looked into it that way to bring it up. So are you just trying to do in such a way that very conventionally, not many questions are answered? You have to understand what is the requirement. If you go for a good publication, what are the requirements? What are all the things to be done? What are all the things to be proved to make the hypothesis or trying to bring that compound into market, there are several unmet needs. All one need to understand is that what's an opportunity in that. Innovation always goes like this. Let me just tell you some innovation which came up just for fun. You should be able to look into this one. I think most of you know about yo-yo, sort of a Chinese yo-yo, you know about it. I think this yo-yo, cap, which I think but what is more interesting for me is that so this is what we know about. Now, somebody from Stanford did something, yeah, big wonder.
From a technical spec point of view, we can match centrifuges that cost all the way from $1,000 to $5,000. But this is a tool that requires no electricity, no infrastructure. You can carry them around in your pockets for a price point of 20 cents.
We call it a paperfuge. It's essentially a piece of paper, and we put in small holders for capillaries that we can fill with blood. And we have standard string, and we take two pieces of either PVC pipe or wooden handles, and then you just pull on it gently. As you spin, the disc is rotating back and forth. It's rotating in an oscillatory fashion. And there's a moment when the disc is stationary, and then it starts to unwind and go in the other direction as you apply a force.
With this set of principles, we're able to essentially make a centrifuge that spins all the way to 120,000 RPM and 30,000 G forces. In the lab, we can separate and pull out malaria parasites from blood. We can separate filaria, African sleeping sickness, separate blood plasma. It is an ultra low-cost centrifuge that's built out of principles of a very old toy, the whirligig.
This is a toy that I used to play with as a kid. The puzzle was that I didn't know how fast this would spin. And so I got intrigued and I set this up on a high-speed camera. And I couldn't believe my eyes. This thing, when you hear the noise, is actually going at 10 to 15,000 RPM. To me, that seemed like what we wanted to actually make a centrifuge.
Before us, nobody had actually understood how this toy works. So we spent a significant portion of this time truly understanding the mathematical phase space for how you can convert linear motion into rotational motion. And there's some beautiful mathematics hidden inside this object. There is a value in this whimsical nature of searching for solutions because it really forces us outside our own sets of constraints of what a product should actually look like.
The centrifuge is the workhorse of any laboratory, from diagnostics to biology. And if you build a very essential, a key instrument, then you open up to a whole different variety of applications.
We just got back from Madagascar. We took the tool out to the field to work with health workers, and we're starting a clinical validation trial on a larger scale to share it with the community and the healthcare service providers, get the feedback. So it's a very iterative cycle. There is of the order of 1 billion people around the world that live with absolutely no infrastructure, no roads, no electricity. So for us, the inspiration is to make the simplest possible tools that do the job well, such that you can get them distributed around the world.
Since this is which has been published in Nature, it attracted all of us. When the similar thing, when I just looked into it in Africa, somebody has, there was a demand for incubators where they can keep their babies, newborn babies, or preterm babies, and they invented this. I think the whole assembly of this incubator has been made out of an old Toyota car, which has been just been thrown into a scrapyard. And this is something called an innovation, that you are not trying to make a new discovery, but just trying to make use of things which have some features which can be either it is cheaper or it is trying to meet the demand which has not been met so far. So these kind of innovations today, when you just look into this, more and more of the products coming into from China, you really wonder that, oh my God, somebody could think like this also. So, but it's not that nobody is thinking like that. Only thing is, we didn't sit and put an effort to make it possible. Similar things are many. So for example, like this, not only in case of it comes to innovation like that, but you see that there are something like some of these innovations, for example, algorithm. Some algorithm has been developed by somebody, which was, you don't need of, you don't require so much of sophisticated instruments to make it. For example, that, like that softwares like Adobe Photoshop, and you have like QSAR, ADMT, and predictive toxicology softwares are all made out of algorithms. And these algorithms are made, algorithms are mathematical equations. I think in last lecture of mine, I discussed more about biointelligence, about artificial intelligence, the use of artificial intelligence in pharmaceutical research. So if you just look into those, that lecture, you'll understand that how do we try to convert. When our lab, when you try to work on artificial intelligence, we try to convert, we try to develop QSPR algorithm for the drugs which can cross blood-ocular barriers. But that's what my field is all about. That's what we are working all about. But the areas like blood-brain barriers and other barriers which has not been built much by anybody, right? So today it's very easy for you to contact the main, the hub of electronic or hub of computer. Is you can get access immediately at Bangalore or Hyderabad or Chennai to make it possible to come out with some plans. They're looking forward for innovative solutions in different areas where the originality come into picture. So this kind of opportunities are also coming up. Is that rather than just using a software somebody developed, I don't have money to buy a software. Don't say like that. Try to develop which is of your own. That will be more interesting. When you just like to look into that, there are many explorations we made, right, to look into work on this thing. But let me just take you to somewhere, suppose in natural products, I think I must tell you something more about. So this publication came in PNAS of 2013. PNAS is again one of the very, very high impact journal. And it talks about the originality in research, what they have done. This is something very interesting. Suppose, as a pharmaceutical scientist or pharmacologist, if I come to know, if I get a drug which has been used about 2000 years ago, it's of great interest because you want to know what they have used about 2000 years back. What was the pharmaceutical composition? What was that person was trying to use? Is the same thing what we have today or something different? That you have only scripts which talks about it. But really, this exploration came up from Baltic Gulf, which is nearby, it's somewhere nearby Italy. I hope that you understand that there's a map in which you see just right below Germany. You see Italy, there's a small area where Baltic Gulf, in which what they found was that they have a ship which has been shrunken in this sea for about 2000 years. And what they found is that when they found the ship over there, they try to lift or they try to figure out what is there in the ship. And ship, now you just go to coast of Tuscany. In the museum, you'll be able to see the ship lying there, the shipwreck. And the vessel was lying, which went inside the sea about 140 to 130 before Christ. And the shipwreck is called as Retilto del Pozzino. And the vessel was lying in 18-meter depth, around 60 feet in the Baltic Gulf of a city of Apollonia, that is Italy. That was a key port for across the sea, in the Mediterranean Sea, from whenever a ship is crossing from Asia Minor to Greece. You have to go back to the history to understand that. Those way how they exchanged Greece and Italy when they, those days, how they tried to have the transactions. So those inside the sea, what they found was very astonishing. You see the jars, these jars were lying inside the sea. When they brought it out, they found that there are pixels. There are cylinders, lead cylinders, tightly capped cylinders where the water did not enter inside. So it was a jackpot for people, those who are working on that area. They took it out and they took it for analysis to know what is there in that. this is very interesting. This is what we call apexis. When they open the apexis, what they have seen is this called lova, which is a oval shaped type of a tablet inside this tin cylinders. They found it, and when they took it and they subjected it for analysis, they found the presence of starch, fine resin, beeswax, fat, and the most important thing is zinc compounds. That zinc as its original ore, or hydrozincite, or zinc hydrocarbonate, hydroxycarbonate. So what we see in that, it demonstrates that those days, from this observation, what they say is that this low must be around oval shaped low must have used as an eye wash, as a collyrium. Collyrium means is an eye wash. So it has been used in those days, and the powders made into pasty consistence with liquid and used in body cavities. So when you just go into more detail, Egyptian makeup kit, which was containing typically what you call coal, from where the word collyrium came in. It contains crushed stibnite, burnt almonds, lead, oxidized copper, ochre, and ash, malachite, and all these things were present over there. So these were the ones which they understood about it. So from this, what we understand is that in the Mashi Nile area, somewhere in the Egypt, eye infections were very common. Some eye infections, even that we would even say that this kind of coal and other things like that are applied, and you see that in the same similar name that you can say kajal or coal. That sounds similar, but the analysis shows that these compounds are the active compounds which are present over there. And these areas, what they found was something that the presence of zinc is even today. When you see some of these boric acid, zinc sulfate lotions, what we make it for eye drops and even use it today, we use the same zinc salts which once used about 2000 years before. And applying this kajal, that is what you call this eyeliners, or what we call kesanjana in Ayurvedic, that again, these contained that when they apply in the marsh areas of River Nile, they often had eye infection. For the eye infection, they used this eye paint which contained zinc. And what is something drink? Because even the Gallen's treatise, which talks about the medicines according to places, it talks about the presence of zinc oxide and the combination of zinc oxides to be used for this. In most of the Indian temples, right, you see, this is one of the picture from Pasavanath temple in Madhya Pradesh. It talks about 10th century sculpture shows that a lady is applying kajal. So that when you just look into all these things, it was of great use even in those days. So some parallel thing was there. So they used to get eye infection for which it has been used. But when you come into this picture, so this is a beautiful picture of a woman that what you see in this picture, she looks so beautiful. I think most of you agree. And they came as a poster or a sort of a small advertisement in the magazine. She looks very attractive. But what is something? There is something very unique in her face. I think I don't know whether you are able to understand or not. Are you able to see or not? I don't know. But what you see, if we just ask you to look into her eyes, something makes her face looks good. But you see her eyes, the iris are dilated. Both the iris are dilated. I think most of you are able to see, I believe so. I'm unable to ask you because it's a one way, but you are able to see her iris is dilated. But that's just look very carefully beyond it. What you see here is real her iris is not dilated. Iris are not dilated. It is constricted because this photograph has been taken in a high bright light. But so bright light might cause the iris to constrict. The pupillary constriction take place. But here our eyes are dilated. That shows that something we have to do in photography to make our face look beautiful. And that is because they are using a contact lens in this case. But at the same time that about 2000 years back, somebody used it for the same purpose. How many of you agree with me? I don't know. But yes, what they have done is in Italy, they used this for making in their makeup kit. And what we call is that they used to use a drop of atropobelladonna. Atropobelladonna, they put it in their eyes to make get dilated, and she will look beautiful. The dilated pupils. So till the last year, if you see the old pictures of Marilyn Monroe, all those great pictures, wonderful, taken by wonderful photographers, even if you look at it, all of these females will be having dilated eyes. The dilated eyes are photogenic, and it increases appeal, all these things, but the naturally, but they're all, the 2000 years back, it was used by females to dilate the pupils. What they have used was atropobelladonna's extract. Atropobelladonna, I think all of you know about it, but many of you may not know the full meaning of belladonna. Belladonna, belladonna, the donna, belladonna, that means the lady with beautiful eyes. So atropa, belladonna, atropa, lady with beautiful eyes. So somewhere the name of the plant itself has been intended 2000 years back. So what is something special about atropine? Its atropine is known. At the same time, you see from the atropine, you see the structure of atropine as well as hypertropia. So you must understand one thing very clearly: why atropine as such has not been used as a nebulizers in case of all other things. We never use atropine. I mean, but where we use hypertrophium bromide. If I ask this question to all of you, you might answer me that, that might be having some side effect which is not that fit. So, well, it is not been approved by the agencies, but well, atropine has been approved. So there is an answer for this question, right? So that is that hypertrophium bromide is a derivative of something similar to atropine derivative, and the tropine derivative is now a little more hydrophobic than atropine, but that is where the strategy of a pharmaceutical company comes in. When you try to make a natural product and you publish a paper and you expect that paper is somebody is going to take the paper and going to make the drug, you are the biggest fool, because that is not the way how the pharma industry works. Pharma industry want IPR, that is intellectual property right. You have to make a compound, and the compound should have an IPR rights. Then only a company is ready to invest money. From where the company invests money? It's not you directly. You are investing money. What is getting invested there is your money is getting invested over there. The company is going to make this drug. They are going to say, well, I'm looking forward for a sales, but otherwise I will not be able to make money out of whatever I'm going to do it. If I just start, everybody makes it. If I just make inhaler with atropine, everybody will be start making it. After that, whatever the money I spent on getting a clinical trial done and trying this, bringing into market, which will not give back money from where I got the money, where a pharmaceutical company is getting money. I have taken a bank loan. Who has put money in the bank? You put the money in the bank. Therefore, it has to get the return for you. So everything is linked to your business. And the business has to run. Therefore, they look forward for some sort of guarantee that they will be able to get the bring back. So today you publish a paper with an extract of a compound, and you are expecting somebody is going to take it to a market, and somebody is even it may be very good. It's not possible. Therefore, you should always try to look for it for a little bit of help from your friend from the chemistry lab to make some semi-synthetic derivative out of it. And you have to prove that the semi-synthetic derivative is better than this. Most of the company follow this strategy. Definitely a bioactive compound, if you just to derivatize it a little bit, it can have a better effect. You have a lot of examples to talk about it. All Me Too's are like this. But by just derivatizing a little bit, you get exclusivity for your product, for your molecule. The exclusivity allows public to invest money, the banks to give fund, and you try to develop it. So this is a thing you lag behind. You go back about 100 years, if you go back, most of the companies in Europe did the same thing. And that is how all these things happened. We lost several things in this way. When you just look into the whole exercise, I must tell you this story. If somebody is so proud that, Indians never contributed into anything, I completely objected. Say, look, this is a story, I picked it up. I love to document all these things as much as possible from everywhere. in ancient Ayurvedic treatments are very old. I mean, I don't think anybody will come back and say that, look, Ayurvedic treatment started at 100 BC or 200 BC. Well, when Alexander came to India, yeah, we had that kind of system here. Some of recently in one of the conference, we were discussing about something. One of the Chinese speaker, he said, I really liked that, the way how he put it up. What he said was, look, gentlemen, if you want to have, nowadays, most of our film stars, politicians, or even good, affordable, wealthy people, they try to go to United States of America to get a cutting edge technology in medical sciences, right? But at the same time, 200 years back, if somebody would have wanted advanced technology for their treatment, they would have gone to Europe. I think you must try to go back in history, understand how sulfonamides developed, how chemistry transformation took place, from where the physics started, from where the chemistry started, from where biology is diverted, from where you go back from Galileo Galilei, how that conservative Christian societies never allowed science to come up. At the time Galileo Galilei came up with a concept. I think these are all the things you need to get into the science to understand about it. So Ayurvedic treatments are very, very old, and time-tested treatments. And one of these British physician, he was asthmatic. His name was Dr. James Anderson. He was posted in India, and he joined in Royal forces, and he came to India, and he has become a Surgeon General and become a Physician General. And he is the one, James Anderson. He established, he was something like very, very interesting guy. He was a physician. He roamed around every bed, and he was trying to understand about the practices going on those days in 1781, 200 years back. Apparently, he studied from Edinburgh. The time that, what do you think, medical science was not that much evolved. And he was also a founder of Royal Society of Edinburgh. I think most of you must be knowing that, the degree of FRCS and all these degrees, the honorary degrees come from them. And the people trying to go to Edinburgh is something considered as a gold standard for all the developments. This guy is a botanist in Chennai. Today's Chennai, those days it was called as Madras Presidency. He started a small herbal garden, and he started collecting the knowledge. He found a remedy from an Ayurvedic physician using chillam. And the Ayurvedic physician gave him a cigarette he could smoke. That cigarette was Datura. Datura was used to smoke the cigarette because he was asthmatic. So immediately he got relief. So you remember about 100 years back or 200 years back, getting a remedy for asthma is something which is unimaginable. The moment he got it, he took it to Edinburgh, and he told his friend, Dr. Sims in Edinburgh, he's a pulmonologist. He was concentrating on more and lung, not pulmonologist or pulmonology degree. Separate, this one was not there. So he has published this information in an Edinburgh Medical Journal and Surgical Journal, which was popular in Europe. As a result, what had happened, I think I must show you the glimpse of it, okay? So look into it. So you got Indian cigarettes. And you see, look into it, Grimla Indian cigarettes, and many manufacturers started making Indian cigarettes. And Indian cigarettes were very, very popular, and it has gone into the pharmacopoeia of British pharmacopoeia and American pharmacopoeia before even Indians knew about it. And this is what the initiation of Indian cigarettes when this guy published the paper. After that, who cares about who published the paper, from where it has come, which knowledge it has given? What has become, it is Elliot cigarettes, Bhatti cigarettes, and all other cigarettes in the name, but it was having Datura stonium, right? And Datura. As a result, right, Indian, and they sourced it up from everywhere throughout the world, and it becomes a business. So it is it is highly effective for asthma, hay fever, foul breath, throat infections, and all others, bronchial irritations, everything. But I must telling you about this is a pretty old story, but I must tell you that in Indian, almost in till 1980, asthma cigarettes made out of herbal preparation containing atropine-like alkaloids, but just as effective as like ipratropium bromide. That was published in 1980 by Elliot and Wright. It came in British Journal of Clinical Pharmacy. Then slowly in asthma, inhalers came up. I think mostly if you just look into this formulation, what was patient inhaler, he developed a chillum, he modified chillum as a funnel device for inhalation. And that is the origin of inhalers. What is the problem of inhalers? The cigarettes were very good, but one has to inhale the fumes too. So, but it is uncontrolled. Sometimes you might land up with more toxicity. So dose is not controlled. So to control this, they came out with a small delivery device that is called a Medihaler. From after the invent of this, in 1985, asthma cigarettes were when phased off from every pharmacy in throughout Europe. So this is what you see here is the oldest publication of why suffer from asthma, have a cigarette of the turostonium. That's what it talks about. Therefore, this is what I was telling you is that how a knowledge, a traditional knowledge, has been converted into a sizable business by somebody who came and took the idea from here. After that, it was wiped out from all pharmacology books. Even today, I'm just telling you about this information after digging up this information from somewhere. Otherwise, completely, you don't know how things came up. Similarly, you see that it was old formulation of glycodin. I think some of you remember this formulation called glycodin. What you see here in this insert is that an old lady is preparing, or a grandma is preparing a grandma's decoction of out of the Davasaka extract, leaves extract, and she drinks it. See, this is what remedy what I have seen when I was a kid to make a herbal tea out of Davasaka when you are having a severe congestion and use as a broncholytic. From this broncholytic, it's isolated. They isolated vasicin. From the vasicin, you see the structure of ambroxol or bromexin. Bromexin or semi-synthetic derivatives came out of Davasaka. So the Britishers invaded India. What they taken away? They taken away your knowledge. And what they made into a business. How it came back? They made a system through which it came back to India. Now you have to buy from pharmacy. But what happened to you? You never bothered about it. Now you talk all good about their system, and that system has evolved from our system. That's what I'm so proud about it. What we lag behind in all this thing is that how do we convert it? Just for example, let me tell you some more important things about the drugs and other things like that which are derived from that. I think if you just see, the plants are not alone as a source for bioactive compounds. Let me show you something. Today we talk so much about the corona. We have so much of botheration about bats. We hate bats, though. Bats, vampire bats, are the sources of this corona. But how many of us know about it? There was once they were used.
Here are some happy vampire bats. What's causing all this giddiness? A great big fat meal has arrived. You can practically hear these bats going, oh boy, oh boy. Better yet, the victim is asleep. This is going to be like, well, taking blood from a sleeping pig. The bats have heat sensors in their noses. This thermal process lets us see what the bat sees. The bat wants to feed where the pig's skin glows white hot. Let the dining commence. Like two wildcatters fighting over a fresh oil strike, these bats battle over a particularly rich feeding spot. 4 vampire bats, 1 sleeping pig.
With the sharpest teeth in the animal kingdom, the vampire bat gently shears away the hairs of its victim and makes a small incision in the skin. The tongue slips along the funnel-shaped bottom lip, lapping up the blood. Fine microscopic grooves line the soft tissues in the mouth. The blood flows up these narrow tubes and pours into the throat of the bat. Thanks to a local anesthetic in the bat's spit, the victim doesn't feel a thing. And a blood thinner keeps the life liquid flowing.
This is a place, this is a mammal from where this vampire bats are our oldest mammalian ancestors. And from there, they isolated from the saliva of this desmaltipase, they isolated this compound called desmaltipase. And the desmaltipase is something which is known to interfere in the mechanism of clotting. So as a result, and also it is a salivary plasminogen activator. I think the altiplases or the newer discoveries in case of stroke. So what is something special about desmaltipase is that it, like a classical tissue plasminogen activator, work for very, very few hours. But whereas in case of desmaltipase, it works for more time. What is more important in case of the drug therapy for stroke is that it has to have a longer duration of action. Like that, when somebody is getting stroke, urokinase, streptokinase are conventionally being used. I think all of you must be knowing about it. It lyses the clot with a half-life, and has a half-life for 15 minutes or 4 to 8 minutes altiplase. But whereas you see, desmaltipase is having a longer half-life. Therefore, if there is a tendency to reclot, it is completely prevented. As a result, desmaltipase has been discovered as a vascular occlusion that as in a clinical trials, it is better than all of them for stroke. Therefore, and this invention has come out from an observation that what makes the vampire bats to continuously suck the blood without being or things like that, and try to clean it and clot it. This is how that it went on for and TPA in bats, tissue plasminogen activator from bats. When it comes to toxin from lizards, again that you'll be very interesting. There is something called a glaya monster. This is from North America. That kind of lizards are not here. That people in India are so much afraid of lizards, but the lizards are completely safe in India. But this is a glaya monster, the bigger one. Just watch this picture. A little bit funny one.
The Gila monster is one of the only 2 venomous lizards found in North America and the only venomous lizard dated to the U.S. They're mainly found in Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and some parts of California. They're 2 feet long and generate a venom in their salivary glands that is among the most potent toxins you'll find in the U.S. In nature, the Gila monster is fairly sluggish. It also spends 90% of its time underground, only coming out a handful of times a year to hunt for bird or reptile eggs. Gila monsters don't have fangs or any other means of injecting their venom, so instead they propel the venom onto their teeth and chew the poison into you. And to make matters worse, the venom is generated in their lower jaw, so they have a tendency to latch onto their victims and spin over to help the venom flow. Gila monster's venom is potent, but it releases a very small amount of the stuff at a time, and only uses it as a defense mechanism. So it's more interested in excruciating pain, edema, which is also known as dropsy, but pretty much just means swelling, a drop in blood pressure, and not death. Gila monsters are rumored to have toxic breath, to be able to jump several feet in the air, to spit poison, and to piss and poop out of their own mouth.
The lizard Heterodroma family is, it's a species including Horridum and Suspectum, or the native to several American states. Or they are poisonous, but poisonous means what it's trying to do. Its exocrine function is having some compound called extendin. What is something more interesting about this lizard is that it high bioactive peptides, including peptides that is exindin 3 and exindin 4. This is potent agonist on mammalian GLP-1 receptor, which is found about 53% of amino acid identities of exindin 4 GLP. GLP is endogenous one. As a result, what happens is that the GLP-1 is one which is responsible, the dipeptidyl peptidase inhibitors, or whatever we talk about today, in anti-diabetic therapy, which cleaves this linkage. If GLP is not being cleaved by dipeptidyl peptidase enzyme, then this GLP is going to stimulate more amount of insulin, and the more hypoglycemic response will get up. So therefore, the dipeptidyl peptidase cleaves here in this position of amino acid. So GLP-1 is getting truncated and it becomes ineffective. But exenatide, if it's having a similar composition of bioactive peptides, when it is given, and this is something behaving similar to that of GLP-1, but not cleaved by DPP, so you will be able to get a better glycemic control. And exenatide, when it came up, it's a bio compound. So immediately they created liraglutide, which is again, similar to that of that. It's 16 fatty acid derivative via glutamyl spacer. When they made it, and this is now conserved, this portion is conserved very well. You see, all the amino acids in the position of 10 to 15 to 20 are same almost. So they conserved it. With that, they created this. Now, this is available in the market. The GLP is getting stimulated upon, it's a good one to control the better hypoglycemic control in case of patients, those who are having diabetes. So these are all included in mimetics and approved by 2005 for the treatment of non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So extratase administered subcutaneous injection, see that it has come into market. So similar thing like that, something from an animal which has come into market. So do we have something similar to that? Yeah, we do have. We have many, but we never used it. Sometimes, when you just look into the venoms of snakes, it's very interesting. I think all of you must have seen these films, Nagin and some other films. It's always, the way you look at the snake is this the way how you look at the snake. But something is very interesting when it comes to snake venom. I think I should share some of these things also with you. Some unexpected. A frog is eaten by a snake is known to all of us. What is something great? So it's known for all of us, right? A frog eats a frog, but something happens in between that. They see this clipping. This is very interesting.
तो यहीं पे है, यहीं पे चले रिज्यूमे निकाल लो इनका, अपना निकाल के उनको दे दो इनके ना
Now what has happened is that the snake is trying to swallow a frog. This is known to all of us. What is something a big time? Something else is happening. The frog is not trying to come out of the mouth. Now slowly, the snake lost its grip. The frog is trying to come out slowly. Now something else is happening to the snake. The frog is not having any effort to come out. Now in this whole attempt, what has happened is the snake is there and the frog is alive. This observation came up and it was published again. Probably that time was a postgraduate student. For us, for the first time I came to know that alkaloids are present in animals, and that was something which made me to be curious about this frogs, or we call it as toads. It is called as Epiparadies tricolor. This Epiparadies tricolor is known to have this one. From the skin of this toad, Epiparadies tricolor, John Daly in 1974 isolated in NIH, they isolated a compound called epibatidine. It's an alkaloid. See, alkaloids are not known to live, not known to be there in animals. So far, we know only they are present in the plants. That's what we talked about all the time. The first time they found that is present over there and is 200 times more potent analgesic than morphine. That was something more interesting. And it is not having euphoria, no addiction. So immediately there was an interest started. Well, I thought of taking this when I was a postgraduate student for a master's thesis. But well, I thought that, okay, I mean, there's so much of things which are going on at that time. So the compound, what you call ABT 594, was made by a company, pharma company. About made it as a clinical trial. Well, in clinical trial, what had happened is something different, but it acted through nicotinic receptor, and it was something very interesting finding what we came to know about the presence of this. But I still went on. I was that was there to the second metabolite, which are known to exist in plants, which are not there in the animals. Also, then I came to know this strange relationship. Basically, that in the ponds, when they got the seed, usually when we try to do any plant, we try to bring the plant to our animal in our laboratory, put it in our animal garden or herbal garden, you grow it and use it. But here, what you see here is, when they brought the frog to the lab, the frog did not produce epibatidine. So when they went and figured what happened in the region, which was having the plants are producing some secondary metabolites, and it is eaten by an arthropod. The arthropod is eaten by this frog or a toad, and thereby the secondary metabolites are synthesized or metabolized and stored on the skin of this toad. Thereby, it even kills the snake, and it used that for its own benefit to survive. But you see that that's acting through nicotinic receptors. But nicotinic receptors, if you're acting through nicotinic receptors in the lower animals, you have a problem. It can paralyze. If you remember that, how do you handle leeches? You put a extract of nicotine, the leech goes paralyzed because it is acting through nicotinic receptors. Therefore, this is something very interesting to understand all this relationship in this, what we see and what has been known. Similarly, that there is another snake from where it isolated something called this is from this snake called
To abstract venom with our venomous snakes, we literally milk them onto a venom vial. It just looks very similar to a shot glass. As the fangs pierce through the layer of plastic, the venom dribbles down the glass, and then we draw that up, and that's the product we use to make antivenom. Tiger snake venom, that amount there is enough to kill about 30 adults. What we're going to do now is we're going to put this tiger snake venom, the raw venom, into some human blood and see what happens. As we start to inject this venom into the blood, it'll start to change colour, and then it'll start to congeal inside of the glass, and to the point where you can literally tip it upside down and just a big clump of blood will come out. This is exactly what happens inside of the human body if you're envenomated by a tiger snake, and there's many other species too that can cause this. With Australian snakes, they generally attack your blood system and your central nervous system.
That coagulates the blood faster. And it is used now, now it is come to market for botropause injection for hemocoagulase, for hemorrhages and clotting disorders. Well, it is having its own place in the pharma world. Similar to that, the snakes are something not new. About 30 years back, the first captopril discovery came up out of a snake. When the snake bites, and they found hypotension, and that from there they came to know about AC2 inhibition by this peptide, which has been isolated from an monopeptide isolated from teprotate, which has been isolated from a plant. From the snake, which has given rise to the development of captopril. There was a first drug, AC inhibitor, which isolated again based upon the concept of blocking this from a snake bite. So there is nothing in observation, everything is an observation. Let me just tell you some of our explorations which came in the way. Well, we started working with this for a long time. So our experiments came out. I'll just say some of them are right. This is something which is again another important, interesting one. That is a human commensal. There are something like we have a lot of microorganisms in our body. We call it as probiotics. We know about antibiotics. Similarly, we have probiotics. But I don't have to go and talk about probiotics. But you come to know this information that we produce antibiotic. So this is something very surprising. So a human is what is this came as an article came in Nature about few years back. So the common, but usually that your human is not known to produce secondary metabolites similar to that of a plant or in case of poison like any other organism. But here, which is very interesting, is that when they took a swab from the nose of a human nose, they found that it is containing something in a powerful antibiotic called dunin. And this came as a publication in Science, in Nature, and which attracted all of us. You know what it came up, how it came up? It's collected that they selected from the nose, they collected a microbe called Staphylococcus lugdunensis. This commensals what you call commensals or normal probiotics which are found in different body places. And this one is trying to culture there and protect the mucous barrier. Then there's some sort of a synergistic relationship between us and them. And that is what has been reported by University of Tübingen, and this paper came out. So what it is trying to do is, see that this is a Staphylococcus lugdunensis. It is present in our nose, and one of the potential uses that it is introducing harmless lignin, forming bacteria to patients at a risk of MRSA as a preventive measure. If you try to, these organisms produce lignin and prevent all other bacteria which is growing up in your nose. Isn't very interesting? And so immediately my students thought that why shouldn't we explore in our eye, right? So because that you have a nasolacrimal duct. If some bacteria is living in the nose, it can live in the it can reach the eye also. So immediately that my students, they collected the, this is a picture to show. I mean, there are so many places in the body you see that different type of probiotics are living and they are guarding the places, and that it could be different. So when we went inside this experiment to know, can we figure it out? So immediately my students dialed it up in mass spectrometer, and we developed a method based upon the structure of lignin. And they took a tear film of a human tear, and they studied it. Surprisingly, we found what you see here is a peak which is coming up is a peak of lignin, because this is a MRM analysis, because we did that very nicely, and we could pull the tears and we could figure it out. Yes. Now, apart from what you have in the human eye, what you have like you have lysozymes, or you are having lactoferrins which are in the tear film. What we thought they are protecting eye, now we know a microbe is there which is protecting eye by lignin. So immediately that this came up as a very good information for us to understand more about the precorneal surface. If you use antibiotic, if this organism dies, for some time you are allowing eye which is not guarded with anything. But slowly this lignin comes up again in the eye, and it starts protecting the eye. Now we are thinking of just developing something like a probiotic as an eye drop, or which can produce lignin, so that we can have some eye drop, which can influence the eye quickly, eye immunity, so you won't get infection. Or people like diabetes, people with other things, or corneal surface disorders, they get an infection. We are now working with the lignin to have such a type of advantage. So there are several things from, if I just take them from C, there are many from C. So I will take another 15 minutes more. Dr. Bodla, do I have enough time to go ahead? Dr. Bodla?
Hello, yes sir, yeah, you can go ahead. Okay. Luckily we got time from
okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Let me just take some more, one more presentation of mine. I was worried maybe I won't have much of time. Yes, some of our investigations in this area, unveiling that Indian traditional systems of medicine for modern understanding. When we about it, what we found was that something which is very interesting. So like, you always see in the newspapers that somebody arrested somewhere in India for smuggling this ganja. And that they always come in the newspaper about, this is a newspaper, it came out, a smuggler arrested, ganja plants destroyed in Odisha. But that the ganja, what we see, it has been in our traditional use in many of the Ayurvedic formulations, many of the Ayurvedic business, many of our ancient traditions. Even smoking ganja is one of the tradition, or drinking the leaf extract has been used as a bong during the time of Holi. All things are in our practice, but it is considered somehow a paradox that we stop. We don't look into this ganja plant for a long time. I don't think ever I have seen in pharmaceutical sciences ever ganja has been studied. Even they just we don't bother about it. Cannabis, somebody is having cannabis is considered as a crime in India. But if you go to Europe, it's extensively available. You go to many states of America, it is legal to have ganja. But with ganja, a policeman can arrest you if you have a few grams of ganja in your possession. But you see that the number of diseases in which it has been used over the period of centuries, we never looked into it. But I'm going to show you something which is very interesting. The development again, what we lost in last few years to the Western ideologies or Western scientific arena. but I think I should be happy that somebody made use of it, but you never looked into it. See that it is much more original to India. It has an anti-emetic property, and in chemotherapy-induced vomiting, and for insomnia it is useful. For anxiety, depression, epilepsy, pain, yes, you have a lot of list of things, but you must go and look into the Ayurvedic formulations, in which what we call Vijaya. That is, Vijaya is cannabis sativa, useful for 29 disease conditions, for malabsorption, fever, diarrhea, dyspepsia, urinary disorders, irritable bowel syndrome, diseases of head, cough, disease of skin, anemia, diarrhea with fever. You have so many, but we never obesity. Another one important area is obesity, urticaria everywhere. We never bothered about it. So who made use of it? Let me show you. This is what I love to show you all the time. See that if you have this one in your possession, and cannabis sativa, that you will be arrested and your photograph will come to picture. But this is a poor farmer who could cultivate it. But we scientists, we never believe that it has having a potential. And for medical use, it has tremendous potential. Even today, that we are working with the lobby just to get it approved for medical use. At least we'll be able to do so freely these things in our research areas. And marijuana pills, now it has become dronabinol. The dronabinol has been marketed now, and the nabilone, as it's a semi-synthetic derivative which came out of cannabinoids. Now cannabinoids, what do you think about cannabinoids? The cannabinoids are they are endocannabinoids. They are having receptors in our brain, and they are used for glaucoma. With the endocannabinoids have a bigger role to play in the modulation of intraocular pressure. So now we are looking for it for several drugs. One among those is this endocannabinoids. Hey, look what we have done. We have taken a tear film of somebody, of a patient, and we measured the presence of endogenous cannabinoids. As of now, we know endocannabinoids are there in the brain, right? Endocannabinoids having a receptors, and they are present in the brain. And one of the chief, is getting biotransformation happens from arachidonic acid only. It is getting converted into endocannabinoids. And anandamide and 2-arachidonyl glycerol or anandamide, all these things having a receptors in our brain. But when we took the tear film, we understood that it is having these compounds like 2-arachidonyl glycerol and anandamide. They are all, so far we know, only present in the brain. They are there in the tear film. The question came up, why they are there in the tear film? So that's where the whole thing is all about. The most interesting thing is the cannabinoids, endocannabinoids, do have some sort of control over the intraocular pressure. So what you see here is that tetraendocannabinoids, the tissue distribution of CB2 receptors and CB1 receptors. CB1 is the cannabinoid receptors are classified as CB1 and CB2 receptors. So it is present there endogenous, like as you see that this picture shows, endogenous agonist and the other agonist. The 2-arachidonyl glycerol is an agonist for cannabinoid 2 receptor, and anandamide is active on CB1 receptors. And CB, both of them are known to be there. Receptors are expressed in the eye, and they regulate intraocular pressure, and they are having a neuroprotection, and this would be of great use in glaucoma. So now somebody has made nabilone. It's a synthetic derivative. Now it is undergoing studies for protecting eyes in case of glaucoma as a semi-synthetic derivative. So it's the one which we have so far completely not bothered, despite the fact it has been used for hundreds of years, thousands of years in this culture. We never bothered about it. But it is present in the eye, and it is capable of regulating intraocular pressure, and that's how it has. So this I already told you about Datura, about the Indian cigarettes, about their use. Already about this also I already discussed about. Next thing is about we have been having a lot of herbal eye drops. So one of the oldest eye drop is that the polyherbal eye drop, which is a very old one, more than 100 years it is there in the market even today. So what we thought is that we should be, and it came to our understanding that the idone has been extensively used. I know it's extensively used not only in India, in Bollywood, it is used in Hollywood. It is used by several international people in different areas, and they love idone. And this is a proprietary formulation of a company, but we were not bothered about it. But it is proprietary Ayurvedic medicine. So we thought, why don't we try to work it on to understand about what is there in that. If something is good in that, we should promote it. So what we did is that what we chorionic membrane assay, we were trying to do the assay to figure it out, what's its effect on the blood vessels, what happened to, can it be able to control cataract, can it be of any use in other eye diseases. When we started working on it, we found, yes, it is having effect. Definitely it is having effect. And it is able to control angiogenesis of eye, thereby, that they can give a good protection. In the corneal neovascularization assay, it has been beautifully, it is preventing the formation of blood vessels. You understand that cornea is an avascular tissue. If any blood vessel progression in the cornea will affect the vision, but it happens in some kind of conditions, trauma or something like that in the cornea, blood vessel growth can happen. Or that in the animal models, it is totally prevented at. And moreover, when we try to look into leukotriene inhibition assay, it has showed beautiful inhibition because it is trying to behave like a somewhat a master stabilizer, as well as that it tries to decrease the inflammation, and it is trying to behave as a good anti-inflammatory also. At different positions, we went inside to understand about leukotriene metabolism, about inhibition. Can you able to inhibit leukotrienes so that you will be able to get lipoxygenase pathway can be arrested, or cyclooxygenase pathway can be arrested? Can it have any other effect? Can it be having any effect like a cytotoxicity effect, or anything will be having deleterious effect on eye? We found it is very good. It's having a good anti-inflammatory property, and it is also having some amount of anti-cataract potential. So, well, the moment when you just try to look into this kind of activities, immediately our curiosity came up. What is there in this formulation which is responsible for its activity? This presentation wonderful to see. Cup se. That's the usually. Dr. Bodla, can you able to see my slides?
Yes, sir. I could able to see your main slide, innovation in research and opportunities for natural products.
Others are not coming?
Actually, others are there in this particular thing. Now they are not moving. I don't know.
1 minute. Let me just look into it.
But at the side window, we could able to see the other slides there.
Okay, I'm just 1 minute. I'm just
refresh. Yes.
Just 1 minute. I'm just trying to adjust it. I'm sorry for that. There's some glitch. Just a moment. I think I just reloaded again. My computer is shared.
You are using any remote for moving the slides manually?
It says that my computer is paused. My screen is sharing is paused. 1 minute. Let me just share it again. Yeah, I just share it once again. Are you able to see now?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Very good. I'm sorry. I think very good. That's good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. Well, this is something that which is I think you heard of my talk about this eye-tone formulation. What you could see is there's a chorionic membrane assay in which I could see that it's able to control the growth of blood vessels, and similarly that in a corneal neovascularization assay, it is able to prevent the growth of blood vessels into the cornea. All these are published reports, and it's all published in good journals. And in the lipoxygenase pathway and under the cyclooxygenase pathway, we could see with all secondary metabolites, they are able to see that it's capable of inhibiting the metabolites. When it came to anti-cataract effect, we found some effect in the rats, in the experimental model, of course. So immediately our interest went on inside to understand what is there inside in this, which is can this eye drop cross cornea to have this activity? When it just went inside understanding the mass spectrometry analysis, we found it's having quercetin, It's having terpinine, rosmarinic acid, beta-pinene, dipentine, curcumin 2. All this we could see in aqueous humor. We were really surprised, right? So if they are capable of crossing the cornea, definitely whatever the effect we are getting at, it's all because of them. So well, and one of the age-old formulation that is Zytone, we could prove that it's having a value for it. So like, so we have to support our own formulations, our own ideology, and our own systems of medicine. Therefore, we did it. And this work we did it long back, about in 1998, I think. We worked on this, and we were wondering that can we have the Chyawanprash effect steroid-induced cataract. So this is what you see here is a chick embryo model of cataract, in which you see a button of cataract is getting produced. Or after injection of steroid, there is hydrocortisone. So when these eggs, these are all done in eggs, fertilized in eggs. When we treated them with Chyawanprash extract of 10%, you see that it is the progression is getting neutralized. So this came up long back in 1998. We never had a mass spectrometry. We never had any advanced facility those days, but we could prove that these kind of formulations do have an effect which is preventing this kind of formation. So well, this is because Chyawanprash has been called as it's an anti-aging property of some of these ingredients. So we could prove in this kind of model, we could prove that yes, it is having this kind of activity. So this is a recent publication from one of our collaborator, Professor Rama from NMR. I think if she talks about it's better that she talks about more about it. She was highly interested in understanding. She's an Ayurvedic physician who is trained in NMR, and she's the head of NMR. And she came out with an ideology. One of our students worked on this, Dr. Aruna. Aruna apparently from, I think some of the teachers of Aruna are there in this meeting. Aruna apparently from DIPSAR, she did PhD at AIMS, and she worked with us in this kind of research work. And when we try to do it with using NMR technology, we were trying to work with phytometabolomics, and we were trying to figure out anti-HIV potential of some of these Ayurvedic products. You will not believe that we could get a bigger milestone even in this also. So the way we look at Ayurvedic system, we want to change it. And the change comes with the way you look at things, and you try to bring the good side of this Ayurvedic science or our traditional medical sciences. It's not only the Ayurveda, it's about anything which is coming in India, which is being used and used for a long time. I don't know, at your home, you might be using something which is specific, and which is how some use, your grandma used it, your mom used it, but it's a time for you to come and test it more scientifically. This publication from our lab. This is again one of our paper came out long back. So it was very interesting. Trikatu is one of the composition of Ayurveda. Ayurveda always contains pepper. There is black pepper, white pepper, long pepper. This is something Trikatu is known very well in Ayurveda, and it contains pepper, black pepper. The black pepper, this paper came long back again, 2001. It came, and later we explored. So we always talk about curcumin increases. Sorry, this piperine increases the bioavailability of drugs. So pepper increases, bioavailability of drugs came up a bigger way when we took up this one, when we studied phenytoin, which is again it's a PGV substrate. When we were trying to look at the pharmacokinetics of it, and we found yes, it's really working on, and we did a human study. That we all of us love rasam, right? The rasam is containing good amount of South Indian rasam is good with pepper rasam. So with this, we tried to study the interaction of pepper with phenytoin in modulating its pharmacokinetics. Even if a patient who is taking phenytoin continuously, if we take any food with a high amount of pepper, it could have a drug interaction. You always look forward for the absorption of drug, but we looked into a drug interaction. The first time ever we documented it, yes, there is a drug interaction. Because the pepper in the second paper in 2002, this work we did it with those days we did it with Germany, one of the big lab in Germany. We could do the transport studies. When we did it, we came to know that pepper could as a blocker of PGP. When the intestinal PGP is getting blocked, it increases the bioavailability of our compound. Today, whenever I see a curcumin, biocurcumin, and curcumin coupled with pepper, almost everywhere this paper reference has been quoted. So we are very happy that we published for a different work, but now it has been used commercially for some other purposes. But well, we could explore this aspect of age-old, one of the age-old one formulation. Again, you know that this came from one of my collaborator, Dr. Rajini Mathur from DIPSAR. We took up this study to figure it out that, well, there are so much of Ayurvedic formulation. Can we bring some quality in them? As we were interested to know about those days, we were working with ethanolides about ashwagandha. We could, Dr. Rajini Mathur could purify the compounds, the isolated compounds of ethanolides, vitaferin. She could have purify this compound by using preparative chromatography. Then with that chromatography, then she went on studying that how can we able to understand that how much amount of these ethanolides are present in these commercial form. Today, when you just go to Amazon, you put it, and you get lots of ashwagandha formulations. When we went on understanding how much it is there inside, where in some of the formulation it was not even detectable. So it shows that there is a certain degree of variation, which is so. Therefore, the requirement is that we need to standardize these formulations to make the claim. See, look, whatever when it comes to allopathy, what is more important in pharmacopoeial standards is that we ensure the amount of drug which is active ingredients with there in that. But you see a lot of formulations which are there in the market claiming that they have ashwagandha. When you go inside and you understand about the composition, we really fail to detect them. And there's so much of variation in between them. And you know that necessitated that there seems to be some sort of quality control is required. Again, this paper was already published in 2009 by us. Next, our work went on with another most important thing. This is, I think, most of you may not be knowing. In eye, there is something which is very unique. So all the time that eye is exposed, is like a camera in which retina is always exposed to light. So it is always susceptible for photooxidation. Therefore, it is having defense mechanisms. The most interesting thing is in our body, we keep something which we store something which is exogenously administered in our body to have protection in our eye. What do you call it as macular xanthophylls? When you just look into the eye, the macula, where we have a high density vision. In macula is something just a little away from the optic now, but that is having high density of photoreceptors, which is capable of receiving light, which is responsible for high definition vision. When you want to read something, your image is exactly focused on the macula. Now, the macula, it undergoes degradation when you age. It is called age-related macular degeneration. This macula is protected by some specific carotenoid. What you call it as lutein and zeaxanthin. Not that beta carotene, not with lycopene, not with anything else. See, the moment you look into the eye, I understand that. Everybody will look into the vitamin C because eye stores 20 times higher amount of ascorbic acid as compared to plasma. Why? It has to maintain that kind of condition to avoid photooxidation. So, but in the macula contains something very unique, that is macular xanthophyll. That is chiefly, we call it as lutein and zeaxanthin. Both of them are specifically present there, but they are not present, in our body. It has to be administered from outside, and they are present in, so far it has been reported, it is present in spinach, lettuce, and cabbage. Chinese cabbage, spinach and lettuce is the one in which Western publications talks about. But when aging population have this problem of age-related macular degeneration, and it has been explained that the ultraviolet radiation is responsible for it. These xanthophylls are yellow in color, and they are capable of absorbing ultraviolet radiation in the macula. Thereby, it is preventing photooxidation because of blue light. Therefore, we went ahead understanding that how much amount of this pigment is present in cadaver donor eyes. So we took cadaver eyes and we took out the macula. We took a bunch of it and things like that, from our eye bank we took it, and we went on and went and some amount we could see in versus and in between this. And when it comes to northern India and southern India, we wanted to know that how that absolutely the vegetables which are used, some of them are very common, aloo, pyaj, all things are common, but there are some things which are entirely different in southern India and northern India. Food style is different altogether. Therefore, we wanted to compare the macular levels of these pigments that are called lutein and zeaxanthin in southern India and northern India, and we wanted to know how much it is present there in different vegetables. Can we eat some vegetable in an aging human, so that can we prevent us from getting macular degeneration? This is what our intention is all about. So what we found is that there's quite a good representation here. Versus north versus south, you could see the squares and the dots. We could see along with the age, this is going low. The aging population shows low levels of this. And in southern part of India, we could see lesser amount of macular pigment as compared to the one donors we found in northern India. There could be many reasons behind it, or the population what we have used is too small to come out with a great conclusion out of it. But there could be some overlapping in between this. But what we understood finally, the take-home message is that if we eat more coriander leaves, see, well, that's what something very unique about. Coriander has been extensively used in northern India for cooking, especially garnishing. And in southern India, usually it is used, but not to that extent. And in southern India, in some places like Andhra Pradesh, where these leaves like sorrel leaves, they are highly citrus leaves, which can be made into a sort of a pickle, and achar, it is used, gongura achar they call, and it's used. And these two are having very high amount of these pigments. And if this is getting substituted, definitely it stores that much amount of lutein zeaxanthin in the eye, which can prevent something, an oxidative damage which happens in the eye, which is naturally found in our eye. Therefore, we suggested that this could be a cheap source for lutein and zeaxanthin, which can be used for these purposes. You know, this is also that our study went on further. This is something for social value, that how much a normal spectacle wearer able to reduce the ultraviolet radiation coming inside the eye. So again, you know, this prescription wears like lenses, or again, they differ quite heavily. So our research went on understanding about, can specs prevent ultraviolet radiation? And there are several claims that, look, if you go and make a spectacle lenses or prescription wears from an optometrist, you never bother about anything else because it is an unregulated market in India. You always look into price. Oh, this is 3,000 rupees. This advertisement I have seen in the newspaper. This one I have seen in the TV. Or you ask the optician which is best. He will tell you according to which one gives a higher amount of commission. So there's no quality is reserved. That's what we found in this study. Therefore, we felt, so if more amount of ultraviolet radiation goes inside, and ultraviolet radiation, sun ultraviolet is very high in India, and it can cause a cataract, which has already been reported in bigger studies. They can cause all these things. It came out of it. So then when we enter into other systems of medicine, trying to work on Sudarshan Kriya, suppose what about yogic techniques? Can it be able to modulate something inside the human body? So again, you know, I'm talking about something in overall picture about that what we try to explore our traditional practice. We don't work only with some of modern medicine. We also work with other things like Indian systems of medicine, so that wherever we could do anything to talk about a good points about this system, and we wanted to highlight this thing. This is a thing which we proved about the involvement of Sudarshan Kriya for pain management in cancer patients. Again, we went into this is one of the remarkable paper came out how the meditation helps in lowering the intraocular pressure and gene expression. There is another important paper which came up from our labs with our collaborators. So we are constantly involved in working with this kind of area, so that we don't leave anything behind. So 1 minute, let me just I think again this one thing again. I just need to share again the screen. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry that the link space. Okay. Right. So now this I just come to the end of my talk. We have innovations are honored and rewarded. It's not only outside India, it's also inside India. There's so much about going with the Startup India campaign about it, and you have incubators like places like DIPSAR is having incubators, and where entrepreneurship is highly encouraged. So I think this is a time for us to change ourselves, to come some sort of a new innovations in even natural products, whatever the way look at, and we should change the way we come with the data or the thesis, and we should not arbitrarily, selecting some plant coming up with this thing. So with this, I just try to come to a conclusion. Let us re-look at our own systems of medicine, using advanced medicine to bring the facts. And Ayurveda is again, it's a way of life with nature. And Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani medicine, I have no restriction on bringing anything out. Something good is there in that. So preserving our treasures is the way we need to go ahead, and this will always give us the innovations. And there are so much of people. I just cited those things from our explorations, and so many people involved in this. I cannot put everybody together in one picture, therefore I put all the pictures. And of course, it has been funded by different agencies for different time. I just try to cover all over the place altogether. And I must thank all the students of mine, as well as the financial assistance which have been given by different one. As Professor Goel talked about it, it's not that great lab we have, but we have a DST FIST sponsored high precision bioanalytical laboratory which houses mass spectrometry, QTRAP. We house a QTRAP with HPLC, and we have several HPLCs and preparatory chromatographies, and we able to handle all of the investigation there. We have a very good animal facility where you could do microdialysis, and we could do all we work much more on eye, therefore we concentrate more into eye than anything else. And we have a very high sterile dispensing facility. This is a patient care facility we have, and we have a biointelligence facility that is where this is sponsored by DBT. Artificial intelligence facility, we work on artificial intelligence where we try to do QSPR studies about using algorithms. So this is much about our laboratory, and if you wish to join our group, you're welcome as a PhD scholar, and also as a scientist in our laboratory, depends upon position. And please write to me as a tvailpandit@hartwell.com in case if you want to share some of your thoughts. And I thank DIPSAR for giving me this opportunity to talk about this in this gathering. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Dr. Pathak.
Thank you so much, sir.
Is there any question?
Now I request Professor Pathak,
No, VC sir.
if any questions you can ask.
Any queries and questions for Dr. Velpandian? Dr. Velpandian.
Yes, Dr. Borla.
We are happy and excited to listen to your speech, lecture rather, and always you have taken us to a long journey from traditional child play games to the yo-yo, to the recent modern discoveries, and the traditional medicines to the modern medicine. The path is right, and I can't deny your thoughts and your advice of look differently and develop innovative thinking. I hope our audiences as well as delegates will carry your message and they start thinking differently in an innovative fashion. And in fact, your time, whatever you have thought, it's a course for almost 15 days to understand a lot of phytochemistry as well as coming them into the modern traditional medicines. And I also agree with you. The present basis of the evaluation of present medical system is based on the Ayurveda and Unani Siddha, and one discovery of Syncona, which led to a whole class of anti-malarial drugs, right? And I hope now we start thinking differently. And in fact, I was wondering, you are very passionate and you have a lot of passion for teaching and learning and to educate people. That we appreciate your passion. And another passion is having a passion for the classical music. please don't mind and don't lift your call also. We will go on ringing you and then try to listen to Nandini Gurjar. I hope she's Nandini Gurjar.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah. So he's having a passion for Carnatic as well as Hindustani and classical dances and Bharatanatyam. And he is also having a passion for makeup. And he do not spend much of money, but in fact, I don't know who is he's a makeup man. He looks like that always for the past 20 years.
Oh my God.
Rather.
It's a compliment, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's a compliment, and you maintain yourself. And not only that, whenever we listen to you, our all energies just get rejuvenated. And thank you for accepting our invitation. And we have troubled you a lot by taking.
It's my pleasure, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I totally agree with you that I get this good platform to talk to all the teachers. Training trainers is something I always feel is a great thing. So I'm very happy to talk among them.
Yeah, I understand. That is the reason. The very first thing we made a call, the first call to you only. So yeah, that is true.
I always take this opportunity to make a point that I inculcate at least 10% of people attending this QIP. If they try to imbibe it, I think we'll have a very good research stream developing in different pharmaceutical institute. I'm very happy about it.
The advantage with Dr. Velpandian is he is an expert in traditional medicine, and he integrates rasam with piperine as well as turmeric, curcumin, and this is how you are trying to make a relation of these particular things. But lastly, I do have one particular doubt whether curcumin and piperine is still a blocker of PGB?
Curcumin and piperine.
Yes, sir.
Sir, actually,
why? Because in South Indian or in any of the North Indian dishes, the curcumin and piperine, they go together.
Exactly. Actually, what happened is that when
phenytoin and piperine is a blocker of PGB.
Sir, what happened is that I have been given an opportunity to work with Professor Agarwal. Right, when he integrated me to solve a problem that a curcumin project of Professor Agarwal, and in which really he called me to address one of the problem that in analysis there was some problem about it. Therefore, he called me. When I worked with him about this formulation on curcumin, it was a great thing. What we understood is that, really shocking, after giving 8 grams of curcumin, if I'm not wrong, and hardly we detected anything in the blood. It was only 4 nanogram as a Cmax we detected in the blood. And it was a surprise for us. And the most important thing is all the 0-hour values were having curcumin. That means by default, our system is loaded with curcumin. It must have come from anything, whatever we eat it, right from dal to all other things. So, bioavailability of curcumin is highly limited. With that, extrapolating so many things are not possible. Because the main important thing is doing in vitro studies with curcumin is that the solubility. It's such a highly hydrophobic compound, but it's beautifully going well in rasam and sambar. It is very good. But when it comes to other systems, we are yet to prove anything about it. But I don't think it would increase the bioavailability of other compounds. But piperine, yes, it has. Piperine, it blocks the liver enzymes, and also it blocks the PGP in the enterocytes and increases the bioavailability of compound. It is true, sir.
And in fact, piperine also helps in the absorption of anti-tubercular drugs also.
That was the first finding which came up. Actually, long back it came up, but it increases the rifampicin. But it took such a long time for us to say whether it is due to PGP inhibition.
Right.
That study came from our lab.
Oh, thank you, sir. It's a great lab. I hope those people who are seriously interested, they should join only Velpandian, provided if vacancy is available.
I'm very happy to have students, and most of my students are from your university only.
Sir, please keep one seat reserved for me. A
My
student seat.
goodness.
Welcome, and then
So your students are good enough.
Start from the
We'll always be
grassroots.
friends.
Thank you,
So
thank
humble
you,
of
Dr.
you.
Velpandian, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Pathak, and Dr. Wakode.
Yeah. Okay, I missed your first part of the lecture, and then of course I was intermittently disturbed, but I was listening in one way or other your lecture. I wish that I would have written right from the beginning till end. If I had listened to you, but whatever I could gather, if I have to sum it up, you have combined. I mean, we say sare gama pa. The whole thing, sare gama pa. This is ultimately it is the whole music, and music has different component. We have to play that music. But if we say sa is the srishti, the creation which we are having, re is the ritu, the as per the timing we change. That is the ritu. Ga is again guru, and the guru has to be seen. When we say ma, mishram, you have to mix all that. Pa is again a sort of a prosperity, and we have to think of the change there. Pa,
Good analysis, sir.
again the dhun and the so I have all these like sare gama padhar is sa, what we say. You have your lecture was like a sargam by itself. Sargam of the ancient time, how Britishers took that glycodine and do that, how that curcumin got it, how piperin came, how the sitagliptin came. It's a very interesting, very, something you really feel that how that biomarker based research is. If you have to understand that, that is the classical example, sitagliptin, where we could see that how understanding how going retrospect from the failures, you could bring a new drug. That is what is the pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance is not simply writing adverse effects. No, getting the leads from that. That is how the quintile has come up. That's how many, our MPharm students are getting more and more placed in such companies. This is what is the concept even the participants have to understand. So, as I told you, I missed a lot, but I am happy to share with you that I was to give that lecture before your lecture, that how I could develop that medicine for corona, and it is likely to be announced. The clinical trial is likely to be there, maybe from the last week of this month for sure. It may be a little earlier. It will be in the south. It will be done by Jami Pharma is going to be there, but it is the remedium. The manufacturer is that. But how we have joined hands, that's what I wanted to show. Unfortunately, I am missing it. But because I was prepared, what I can do, if you permit 5 minutes only,
Sir,
that
sure.
how I could, maybe you will be appreciating much more than anybody else can do that. So, Dr. Manju and Dr. Bolda, I will take only 5 minutes. Of course, this lecture is supposed to be a full lecture.
Yes, sir.
But I will try to sum it up in the 5 to 10 minutes, because I know in 40 years I have developed that ability to condense the 1 hour lecture to 5 minutes also, and to 5 minutes lecture to speak 1 hour also. I can do that. So please allow me for only 5-10 minutes, because I was prepared and very well I kept on the board also. So I'm going to do that.
Sir,
And
please carry on.
let me tell you very salient features only I will touch. And I hope you will, because after listening to your lecture, I felt, no, I should have told in your presence only. So that is the reason that I thought of.
So sweet of you, sir.
Let me tell you, actually this. Okay, actually. Yeah. See, I have been dreaming all the time to see that I can give a drug which will be in the clinical practice. This has been my dream from 1993 when I read that statement of MJ Rand. And I've been telling about the histories and all that, it used to be academics the main center for the new drug discovery, not the pharma industry. Things are changing, but earlier it was that only. And I want to see that. The problem is the demand of the public as well as industry now. That is changing. Everybody wants to have a high expectation and safety also. What you told about the medicine, it holds true. Yes, the the Ayurveda was the oldest of all. Only thing we have not understood properly and translated it. Now, so everything began with the plant, definitely, for sure. Then there are isolations that went on. And then the ethnobotany, ethnomedicine, traditional medicine, and you can go on talking, those terms have started coming in. But being a pharmacologist, I realized that the father of world pharmacology, the Francois Magendie, is the isolation of the compound only. And then how the things have gone in, we all know. But the question is that combinatorial chemistry and all those things which came in. And within 15 years, you started getting many things. I mean, in this 50, 60 years, I have been revolution. I was getting mad. But I was not intelligent like you to grab everything in time. I really wonder that you have grabbed everything practically from chemotherapeutic revolution, whatever is revolution, it is there in your minds and you are really practicing at AIMS. That is what is important. I'm seeing that all these complexities which has come in, and then whole genome. Now the whole process is that it is with the process of understanding a disease. COVID was not understood in the beginning. And then you have to apply all those methods, genomes. So the challenge for making a drug was to club all these components at a time. Let me tell you, it was a beginning made by understanding the plant, understanding the pathology, understanding the chemicals, understanding phytochemicals. All these things were to be linked and finally to come out in that funnel of market. We have reached to this stage, clinical, let me tell you now. Yeah, it was, beginning was with our herbal, the Honorable Chancellor met, connected us to this person, great personality, Dr. Babu, who did that job. He gave us the plants, which can be the plants. And Dr. Jasila was the one who helped me in getting this paper and ultimately using the skills of the management. We told to the world and we published this paper within 3-4 months only that yes, what are the complications in that? And then understanding ACE2 in a rightful manner, we could understand the pathophysiology. After understanding the pathophysiology and simultaneously the clinical, the chemicals and the Dr. Rajiv was there. He connected to Dr. Kali Charan. He was again our alumnus, but he was sitting somewhere else. We could do that. Connecting these targets, we identified the targets and then connected it. And then going further into it, a battery of docking study. Dr. Mahavir was the one who did all collection of different phytoconstituents, all that. And then comparing with what is happening and then comparing it with the clinical dockings and all that, continuing that, and then listening to even ICMR guidelines. And based on that, and then in IPC, what are the drugs which are finally listed? Based on that, we came, and now we are started analyzing what are the results of so-called given by the other countries or like that, that this is the drug. Every drug is a failure in one way or other. Whether you talk of the remdesivir, whether you talk of the azithromycin, alone was little better, but not as good. And even toxazolizumab, that was also there. We had our own understanding of the kadha to immunoboosters, then we went to our plant and finally landed up with the hypothesis that no, one herbal and some other additions can do the better job. We did it, and the stage is now this. We are projecting that our drug is going to be effective all around. Chloroquine, what we are saying is the name given. We have licensed it, and then we are going ahead. So overall, now we have reached to this stage that, this is the phase of the clinical trial which we are trying to have. And we hope that within 3 to 4 months, maximum 6 months is the maximum time the drug should be ready. This is what is the plan. So this was the overall story which has happened. So what you explained, different components, we tried to really implement here. This is the entire team which I narrated with the all my colleagues. He's from USA, from South, because I was not ready to compromise with the time. I was not ready with that. My only goal was patient. I could see that many of the patients got benefit also, but I cannot disclose because it was a sort of a roadside clinical trial. But yes, they are perfect, and we are hopeful that at least some patients will be benefited. So this is what is I was to give, and that was a lecture. But I will, maybe if time permit in the schedule, I will give them detail. But because I thought that you are the one who was really doing a lot, and I have seen you in AIMS when I came once. So that's why I thought of taking 5 minutes. I hope I could do that lecture. As I told you, I can compress 1 hour lecture into 1 hour, 5 minutes also. So I've done it. I don't know, but thank you very much for this. Thank you. Right. Please go ahead.
Really, really wonderful work, sir. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you. I need that because it will be useful for the entire community.
Let me know that how can I be of some help for you at any stage.
So much, sir.
Thank you. We will be coming back to you for that for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
I would like to now request Professor D.P. Pathak sir to kindly felicitate Professor Velpandian sir with a token of appreciation.
हेलो हेलो हाँ नहीं अब देख लेना मैंने उससे दे लिया है कंफर्टेबली हो जाता है तो दे दो नो प्रॉब्लम ओके अरे वो फेलिसिटेट तो होता रहेगा वो चलिए इनको करो भाई
Pathak sir, thank you very much.
Just a minute. Bhumika?
Dr. Velpandian, thank you very much for giving very informative and very extensive lecture.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Okay, sir, I am sharing.
अच्छा अच्छा फिर ठीक है मैम फिर इट्स ओके मेरे को यही लगा कि सिर्फ एक इवेंट के लिए
साक्षी की तरफ
मैडम
हाँ जस्ट ए मिनट
ठीक है
will courier the certificate of Dr. Velpandian Kohli.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Actually, he is. Thank you, Dr. Goel. Thank you, Dr. Goel.
You have to felicitate Dr. Pandyan. Dr. Bodla?
It's okay.
Yes.
No, sir.
Online,
felicitating with the certificate only.
DIPSAR is like DIPSAR is my home ground. It's okay.
I request Dr.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Velpandian, for interesting and wonderful lecture.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Now over to Bhumika.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor D.P. Pathak sir to kindly felicitate our Honorable Vice Chancellor sir.
बिल्कुल बनेगा मैम, वो बेटर है। जिससे फिर हम लास्ट में उसको या पहले से इसको भी इंक्लूड कर लें। सपोज आपको
सर डॉक्टर Pathak sir, felicitate our Vice Chancellor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor sir, for interesting COVID-19 talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Goel sir.
Now we will reconvene in about 1 hour, and it's a lunch break, and we will continue in the second half.
2
So
p.m.
kindly be there by 2 o'clock, and we shall reconvene then. Thank you.
Dr. Goel, your lecture about ACE2 inhibitors is very interesting. And one thing to my audience in the sense that the delegates is one message. That's what I told about the amalgamation of Dr. Goel along with administrative as well as academic skills. And his passion is also having a similar lines with Dr. Welpandian in singing, dancing, as well as music, even in the literature. And his passion for developing and discovering a new drug within a short span of 3 to 4 months, we are going for the clinical trial of this particular thing. It is a great innovative, and in fact, one gets when Dr. Goel is that we all get a synergetic effect of the probenecid and penicillin type of effect. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We will meet after lunch around 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, everybody have to join.
मैंने अटेंडेंस ले ली थी मैम, ठीक है।
अच्छा, अब मुझे कुछ यहाँ से बंद करना है?
कुछ नहीं, बस आप लीव मीटिंग